Chapter 83. Run! Su Yu reminded Long Xiaoye as he frantically fled to the bottom of the cliff. 2 ropes woven from vines were already prepared. Along the ropes, they could climb to the top of the valley and escape. One of the ropes was originally prepared for Xia Jingyu, but now it could save Long Xiaoye's life. Long Xiaoye was overjoyed. She grabbed a rope, activated her light body cultivation technique, and quickly climbed the cliff. The joy in her heart was indescribable. Not only had he set up 3 consecutive traps, but he had also prepared an escape route. Su Yu's meticulousness and calmness were beyond the reach of ordinary people. Su Yu quickly climbed up the cliff along the vines, his heart not completely relaxed. The poisonous rain was the blood of the 9 deadly poison devil. Su Yu buried the corpse underground and wrapped it tightly with the entwined dragon silk. Once the trap was triggered, the entwined dragon silk would suddenly tighten. The 9 deadly poison devil's corpse could not withstand the pressure and would explode, bursting out the poisonous blood. At the same time, it was winter. The corpse would not rot within 10 days, so there was no need to worry about the traps failing. However, Su Yu was not sure if he could kill the level 9 upper-tier Slayer King with just the blood of the 9 deadly poison devil. After all, these 3 traps were originally designed for level 8 upper tier or peak tier. Level 9 was not within the scope of consideration. Su Yu, I'll kill you! The Slayer King's earth-shattering roar came from within the valley. He really did not die. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A badly mangled figure, hard to see with the naked eye, climbed the cliff towards Su Yu with a strong stench of blood. At a glance, the flesh on his hands had rotted, leaving only bloody bone fingers. The bone fingers were like steel, cutting stone like mud. They pierced into the cliff as if walking on flat ground, climbing at an uncanny speed. His pair of decaying eyes stared at Su Yu, filled with boundless hatred. Su Yu's scalp was numb. He activated floating light shadow to the extreme. However, although the Slayer King was about to die from the poison, his strength was still there. His speed was far beyond Su Yu's. Crack boom! The Slayer King caught up with Su Yu. His poisonous bone claws grabbed at Su Yu's ankles, blood spurting from his mouth. I'll die, but you won't get away. And that female companion of yours, I want to find her and tear her apart. How could Su Yu avoid the claw of a level 9 upper tier? When the poisonous blood came into contact with Su Yu's ankle, it immediately caused his skin to rot to the point where white smoke rose from his nose. Then, with a pull of the bone claw, a boundless force came. The vine in Su Yu's hands broke with a sound. On the 100-meter cliff, Su Yu was like a giant rock, falling with a loud rumble. He looked up at the sky that was getting further and further away. The blue sky was distant and the white clouds were tranquil. Even time and space had stopped at this moment. Su Yu's heart was filled with bitterness. Was he finally unable to escape death? Thinking back to this life, he had risen from the lowly silver sun to the peak of the heavenly sanctuary disciple. In just a few short months, he had achieved such a spectacular feat in his life. He had his father-in-law, the Duke of Xianyu, whom he was indebted to, and the 3rd prince, who was extremely loyal. There were even 2 women whom he could never forget in his life. One was his fiancée, Qin Xianer. One was his confidant, Xia Jingyu. He had lived a wonderful life, but he had many regrets. He could not see Xianer with his own eyes, so he could only entrust Jingyu to meet her on his behalf. As he flew backward, Long Xiaoye's gasps could be heard, as well as the Slayer King's sinister smile. Your female companion, I will find her and tear her apart to accompany you. Jingyu! If the Slayer King followed the path he had come from, he could easily find the unconscious Xia Jingyu. Don't even think about it. Su Yu's eyes were fierce. Creak! A crazed desire to perish together with the Slayer King filled his eyes. Gathering vital energy in his hands, Su Yu shot toward the peak of the valley. At the peak of the valley, there were 10 huge rocks tottering on the verge of collapse. They were close to the edge of the cliff, ready to fall at any moment. But they were all blocked by a transparent entwined dragon silk. Once the entwined dragon silk broke, the entire valley would be destroyed. Each rock had a diameter of 10 feet. Once they fell, the mountains would collapse and the earth would crack. Suyu had spent 2 days and 2 nights painstakingly setting up these giant rocks. In order to prevent encountering an unfathomably strong enemy, he wanted to destroy the valley along with the enemy. Now, this was the only way for Suyu to perish together with the Slayer King. His vital energy surged, bouncing onto the entwined dragon silk. Creak, the entwined dragon silk loosened, and the 10 meteorite-like giant rocks finally fell. Long Xiaoye gasped. Luckily, she had already reached the edge of the cliff, narrowly avoiding the giant rocks and climbing to the peak. The Slayer King, on the other hand, was unable to climb up in time to deal with Suyu. Faced with the falling giant rocks, he let out a shrill cry. "Ah, I will not let you off even as a ghost." Even though he was the Slayer King, he could not withstand the power of the landslide. In an instant, he was crushed by a giant rock and rolled down the cliff. Rumble, the 10 giant rocks crashed down with a thunderous roar. The entire valley shook, and the 100-meter mountain peak crumbled with a rumble. Countless gravel rolled down. As far as the eye could see, the surrounding mountain peaks were all destroyed, and the valley was filled with gravel. Long Xiaoye took a long time to open her eyes from the dust cloud. Long Xiaoye sucked in a breath of cold air as she stared intently at the scene before her. It was as if a disaster had struck her heart. Within the valley, the chances of survival were close to zero due to the 30-meter-deep rubble. Her knees weakened and she knelt in the valley, muttering, "Suyu." Long Xiaoye kowtowed. Her chest seemed to be blocked by something. She felt apologetic, grateful, and admiring. Suddenly, Long Xiaoye looked up and saw a beautiful figure stumbling toward the entrance of the valley. Looking up at the 30-meter-deep pit of gravel, her beautiful eyes nervously scanned the surroundings, as if searching for a certain figure. Swoosh, Long Xiaoye's face was full of guilt as she rushed to the side of the beautiful figure. "He is already dead. In order to prevent the Slayer King from finding you, he perished together with the Slayer King and was buried in the landslide." Long Xiaoye's voice was low, desolate and lonely. She did not feel the slightest bit of joy from surviving. Suyu's death made her feel apologetic that she could not repay. Boom! The beautiful figure's vision darkened, and her delicate body went limp. She knelt on the ground, her eyes lost. She was Xia Jingyu, who had just woken up. As intelligent as she was, she had rushed to the valley immediately. But what she saw was the aftermath of the disaster, as well as a piece of news that tore at her soul. Suyu was buried in the landslide. Staring at the deep pit of gravel, Xia Jingyu's mind lost all ability to think. There were only countless memories, like the tides of the night, continuously surging. The Martial Arts Training Institute, the inexperienced youth with outstanding archery skills, the mysterious figure in the underground ruins of the Twilight Mountains, the warm embrace of the pear blossoms under the moonlight in the Imperial Palace, the shy and unforgettable naked face-to-face in the outskirts of the Imperial capital. In the sanctuary, the hardships of life and death coexisted. Scene by scene, piece by piece, bit by bit, appeared in her mind, tearing her soul apart. The heart-wrenching pain reverberated in her heart. It was as if she had lost the most precious thing in her life. That was the light in her life that she dared not forget, nor did she dare hope for. No. Finally, Xia Jingyu's eyes gradually came back to her senses. Her clear eyes were filled with tears. "Brother, you will not die. He will not die." Xia Jingyu crawled up, pouncing into the valley. Using her slender hands, she lifted the rocks one by one. The rough and sharp rocks tore through her skin, cut her fingers, and tore her clothes. But in her eyes there was only Suyu, nothing else. Mechanically, again and again, piece by piece, she moved the gravel away. It was as if she was a puppet with a broken heart, burning her life to preserve the last ray of light in her life. Long Xiaoye could not bear it, her heart aching. "Junior Xia, my condolences," she said softly. "She is not dead." Xia Jingyu suddenly turned around. Regardless of the time and place, be it the landslide or the crack of the earth, she, who had always been tranquil, seemed to have become a different person. Her eyes were fierce, her mouth letting out a shrill cry. Long Xiaoye was stunned, silently watching Xia Jingyu move the rocks in vain. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a full 5 days had passed. Xia Jingyu was beyond recognition. Her once beautiful face was haggard, her eyes dry and dark red. Her jade-like hands had lost their former luster and were badly mangled. But what was truly beyond recognition was her broken heart. In the past 5 days, Xia Jingyu had not rested for a moment. She did not drink a drop of water or eat a single grain of rice. Perhaps, before Su Yu's body was found, she had already collapsed beside the rocks. Finally, Xia Jingyu's strength was exhausted, and she fainted on the ground. But even in a coma, her hands, covered in scabs, clung to the rocks, refusing to let go. Long Xiaoye sighed, her heart filled with pity. She kowtowed to Su Yu's corpse in the valley, picked up the unconscious Xia Jingyu, and left the valley, leaving the evil forest. In a mysterious valley in the vast Fenghuang Empire, fairy clouds lingered, the mist was hazy, and pavilions were faintly discernible. It was like a paradise on earth. This was the forbidden land of the Fenghuang Empire, Fenghuang Valley. In terms of status, it was the sanctuary of the alliance of the 9 empires. At this moment, in a courtyard somewhere in Fenghuang Valley, Xian'er was focused and serious, sweating profusely as she cultivated her cultivation technique. In the past, Xian'er was capricious and playful, unruly and mischievous. Now, Xian'er's delicate little face was filled with unyielding determination. Russell, 2 18-year-old girls passed by the courtyard and secretly glanced at each other, their eyes flashing with contempt and disgust. The bloodline of the 9 phoenixes is just SOSO. Is she really the granddaughter of the Valley Master? The difference in talent is incomprehensible. Indeed, it does not seem like the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. Rumor has it that the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes has a strange cultivation speed. However, our Fenghuang Valley poured out all the Saint-grade spirit elixirs we had accumulated and gave them to Qin Xian'er, but it only allowed her to break through to level 3 upper tier. The difference in talent is unimaginable. As the granddaughter of the Valley Master of Fenghuang Valley, Xian'er's bloodline was special and she was nurtured with everything. The Saint-grade spirit elixirs that should have been distributed to the outstanding disciples were all given to Xian'er alone. However, under the impact of so many Saint-grade spirit elixirs, she only managed to break through from level 3 lower tier to upper tier. Within Fenghuang Valley, whether it was the outstanding disciples or the elders, they all complained. What a waste! If all those Saint-grade spirit elixirs were given to me, I would have broken through to level 8 long ago. I really don't understand. Isn't it good for her to live in Fenghuang Empire? She came to our Fenghuang Valley and wasted our extremely precious Saint-grade spirit elixirs. This kind of person should just die. The voices of the two gradually faded away, but faintly drifted into Xian'er's ears. Xian'er stopped cultivating. Her head drooped slightly as she stood in front of the wooden pillar. She lightly bit her lips and her frail shoulders gently trembled. Her pair of big eyes were filled with tears and were red and swollen. A deep sense of loneliness and hesitation wreaked havoc on her weak body and soul. Qin Xian'er, follow me. The clan is holding a meeting and needs you to attend. An indifferent voice floated over. It was a dignified and beautiful woman. She looked at Qin Xian'er with disgust. Chapter 84. Oh! Qin Xian'er hurriedly wiped away her tears and lowered her head. She didn't say a word as she followed the dignified woman to the most dignified meeting room in the Phoenix Pavilion. At this time, Many outstanding disciples and powerful elders were all standing in the meeting hall. As far as the eye could see, it was all level 8 and level 9 heavens. The experts were as numerous as the clouds, and the atmosphere was imposing. Apart from that, there was also an old woman who sat calmly on the main seat in the hall. At first glance, he looked like an ordinary old man. But her presence caused the gathered 8th and 9th heavens experts to keep quiet out of fear. She was the master of Feng Wang Valley, Qin Xian'er's grandmother. As Qin Xian'er was brought over, the outstanding disciples and elders all looked over. On the surface, he was respectful, but in the depths of his eyes, there was jealousy, contempt, disappointment, and hatred. The master of Feng Wang Valley opened her eyes and stared at Qin Xian'er. After assessing her cultivation level, she confirmed that she was still at level 3 upper tier. Her doting eyes rippled with a faint coldness. "Xian'er, do you remember the promise you made with Grandma?" the master of Feng Wang Valley said indifferently. Her voice was faintly discernible and distant. It was clearly in front of him, but it was difficult to determine where the voice came from. Xian'er's heart trembled. She bit her lips and her eyes became misty. She nodded her head in front of everyone and said in a choked voice, "Remember, if you can't break through to level 5 then, you will be expelled from Feng Wang Valley." The master of Feng Wang Valley muttered to herself for a while. Her old eyes were filled with love and reluctance, but they eventually turned cold. "Since you know, then, leave Feng Wang Valley." Tears the size of beans rolled down Xian'er's cheeks. She turned around, sobbing, and left the hall alone amidst everyone's mocking laughter. "Hold on. Feng Wang Valley, take off your clothes as well." The master of Feng Wang Valley replied indifferently, "This is the rule. Once you leave Feng Wang Valley, you are no longer a member of Feng Wang Valley. You are not allowed to bring anything from the valley with you." Xian'er looked back at her grandmother from afar. There wasn't a trace of warmth in her heart. In her grandmother's heart, she was only a substitute for her mother. Now that she had no value, she cut off the last trace of kinship. A deep sense of loneliness came over him. His family had been destroyed, and he felt the coldness of human nature. When she thought of a purple-clothed figure, the loneliness in Xian'er's heart eased slightly. Her small hands unbuttoned the jacket. Only this jacket belonged to Feng Wang Valley, so she did not care. However, when the jacket was unbuttoned, several fiery red objects fell out of carelessness. Pitter-patter, like an abacus rolling, fiery red round objects scattered all over the ground, rolling everywhere. Everyone was stunned. However, when they took a closer look, they were overwhelmed with shock and exclaimed in unison, "Saint-grade spirit elixir." The things that were rolling on the ground were none other than precious saint-grade spirit elixirs. There were a total of 13 of them. This was equivalent to 2 months' worth of elixirs for Feng Wang Valley. There was even a golden pill among them. Divine-grade spirit harmony treasure pill. The elders were still able to control themselves, but the juniors were overwhelmed by the terrifying amount of pills. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A group of young boys and girls even forgot that the master of Feng Wang Valley was present. They rushed forward and frantically snatched the elixirs on the floor. Xian'er's little face was filled with panic. She pounced forward and pressed down on the golden pill. Her little hands frantically grabbed the nearby pills. But how could she fight against dozens of people? "Don't snatch it! Don't snatch it!" In the chaos, including the golden pill, they only managed to grab 2. The rest were all snatched away by the boys and girls. Her little hands were even red and swollen from being stepped on. Her skin was torn and seeped with fresh blood. Seeing that all the elixirs had been snatched away, Xian'er's heart was filled with sorrow. She hugged the 2 remaining elixirs and sat on the floor, crying helplessly. Give me back all the elixirs. Those are for Brother Suyu, don't snatch them." Desolate and sorrowful, it was heart-wrenching. In the silent meeting hall, only Xian'er's lonely sobs remained. Looking at her trembling petite body, The youths could not bear it and awkwardly returned the elixirs to her. The rest of the youths also returned the elixirs sheepishly. Sienne Aire's big eyes were filled with tears as she put the elixirs back one by one. Some of the elixirs were squashed and crushed during the snatching. Even the golden pill was squashed by herself. Sienne Aire's heart ached. When all the elixirs were returned, Sienne Aire's tears turned to laughter. She wiped her tears and choked with gratitude. Thank you, the youths were ashamed. But the elders and the master of Feng Wang Valley realized something else. There were a total of 13 Saint-grade spirit elixirs. Were these not the elixirs given to Sienne Aire 2 months ago? There were 13 of them. Could it be that Sienne Aire did not eat a single one? Sienne Aire. The master of Feng Wang Valley's face trembled, her gaze sharp. What is going on? Why did you not eat a single one of the elixirs given to you? At this point, everyone finally understood why the legendary bloodline of the 9 phoenixes was so weak that it was even worse than a normal person. That was because Qin Sienne Aire had not consumed a single one of the elixirs given to her. She had only relied on normal training to raise her cultivation level. That was why her progress was so slow. Qin Sienne Aire did not dare to look at the master of Feng Wang Valley. She lowered her head and mumbled, "Grandma, I'm sorry, I wanted to leave the elixirs for Brother Su Yu. He is in the mortal world and definitely does not have any elixirs to eat. I wanted to leave them all for him." Everyone looked at each other in shock. Only Feng Wang Valley and the sanctuary possessed Saint-grade spirit elixirs. Their value was immeasurable. Qin Sienne Aire did not eat a single one, leaving them all for Brother Su Yu? Who is Su Yu? The master of Feng Wang Valley's gaze was sharp. Qin Sienne Aire did not dare hide anything. Brother Su Yu is Brother Su Yu. Oh, he is my fiancé, the only family I have left. Of course, Grandma is also my family. Fiancé? Qin Sienne Aire had a fiancé in the mortal world? She would rather bear the name of trash, bear endless criticism, and be expelled from Feng Wang Valley, all to leave the elixirs for Su Yu? In that instant, everyone was speechless. It was as if something had blocked their hearts. Those who were once envious, and angry could not suppress the emotions in their hearts at this moment. The master of Feng Wang Valley's expression changed drastically. She had withstood the pressure from Feng Wang Valley and spent months of elixirs to nurture her granddaughter. When she saw that Sienne Aire had not improved, she had secretly given her a one-of-a-kind divine-grade spirit elixir. But Sienne Aire had not consumed a single one. She had given them all to an unknown kid? At this moment, she secretly blamed herself for wrongly blaming Sienne Aire, but she was also filled with murderous intent towards Su Yu. However, she did not let her emotions show on her face. Gradually, she calmed down and took out a Saint-grade spirit elixir from her sleeve. Her tone was gentle and sincere as she said, "Take this one. I'll prepare another one for Su Yu." Hearing this, Sienne Aire hesitated for a moment before reluctantly swallowing a Saint-grade spirit elixir. Whoosh whoosh, a shocking scene appeared. The powerful elixir caused a faint fiery red color to emerge around Sienne Aire's body. From afar, Sienne Aire looked like a phoenix. At the same time, his cultivation base was soaring at an astonishing speed. In a short moment, it had soared to level 5 upper tier. Hiss! It is indeed the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. A normal person would break through from level 3 upper tier to level 4 upper tier with a Saint-grade spirit elixir, but Sienne Aire. In the meeting hall, gasps could be heard everywhere. Their eyes were filled with shock and envy. This was the true bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. The master of Feng Wang Valley's eyes were filled with excitement and gratification. As expected, without a doubt, this scene would cause Feng Wang Valley to spare no effort in nurturing Sienne Aire. No one would dare to question her bloodline, and no one would dare to look down on or mock her. When the meeting ended, the crowd retreated with bewilderment. The master of Feng Wang Valley said indifferently, "Feiyun, Make a trip to the Fenglin Empire and find Su Yu. Swish, a 20-year-old youth emitting a terrifying aura flew in from outside the hall and knelt on the ground. Yes. Holy King. Feiyun paused, hesitantly asking, find Su Yu. Should I pass junior sister Xian Er's elixir to him? After all, the master of Fengwang Valley had promised Xian Er to prepare another elixir for Su Yu. No! The calm master of Fengwang Valley suddenly revealed her murderous intent. Kill him! Feiyun was slightly shocked, his eyes turning cold. He was also indignant that a random kid of unknown origin could win Qin Xian Er's heart. She would rather stop her own cultivation to give the elixir to Su Yu. Furthermore, he was Qin Xian Er's fiancé. Although Qin Xian'er's talent had been misunderstood as trash, her petite beauty, which was like that of a wild mountain spirit, had won the love of many people. She had many admirers. Feiyun was one of them. Hearing that Qin Xian Er had a fiancé, his heart was filled with sadness. But now a tinge of jealousy and murderous intent fused coldly. At the same time, make a trip to the sanctuary of the Alliance of the Nine Empires and tell Li Guang that he will not wait. The master of Fengwang Valley said indifferently. Yes. Swish, Feiyun retreated like a ghost. Sanctuary, evil forest, valley rubble pit. Half a month ago there was a catastrophe that destroyed the valley. A purple-robed youth had been buried in the rubble. It was as if even the heavens were grieving for him. The sanctuary, which had always been cloudless, was now covered in snowflakes. It had not stopped for 10 whole days. The world's purest whiteness could not conceal the coldest scenery in the valley. A thick layer of snow covered the valley. Thump, thump. Suddenly, under the pure white snow, the boulder loosened. A hand stretched out from the boulder. Xian Er. A desolate sigh pierced through the boulder and reached the clouds. Inside the sanctuary. When Xia Jingyu woke up, it had been 10 whole days. She was overworked and almost died. She had been unconscious for 10 whole days. The moment she opened her eyes, Xia Jingyu cried out, "Brother Yu!" Long Xiaoye, who was waiting by the side, sighed and said in a low voice, "Jingyu, don't be like this. It has already been 15 days. 15 days. Xia Jingyu murmured. Her eyes were blank as she stared blankly at the pavilion. 15 days. Even if she was not crushed to death, she would have died of hunger or thirst. Xia Jingyu's strong heart had completely collapsed at this moment. Brother Yu. Tears rolled down from her eyes that had never cried. Her mournful voice carried with it a heart-wrenching pain that shook the heavens and spread into the desolate distance. Dong, the sound of a bell rang out from the Sage King Hall. Swish, a person entered the house. He was dressed in pure white, his eyebrows striking. At this moment, his eyes were filled with a deep sense of loss and shame. I should not have brought Su Yu to the sanctuary. If not for that, Su Yu would not have perished. Qiu Changjian felt a sense of loss for someone as loyal as him to perish just like that. He thought back to the holy meat. In order to save the Duke, he had traveled thousands of miles to the imperial capital to fight to the death. Such a peerless talent had perished in the evil forest. Qiu Changjian looked at Long Xiaoye, then at Xia Jingyu. He sighed. The Holy King's bell has rung. The storm competition has begun. I have heard from my seniors that after this competition, the sanctuary will be disbanded. Furthermore, the Holy King will bring the 10 of us holy disciples away from the sanctuary to Fengwang Valley. Qiu Changjian's tone was bleak. The disbanding of the sanctuary was an unbearable change for them. Swish, however, Qiu Changjian and Long Xiaoye's expressions changed. Chapter 85. Qiu Changjian was frightened by the look in his eyes. He nodded subconsciously and said, "Yes, I will only bring the 10 great holy disciples." Only the 10 holy disciples? Xia Jingyu was like a person with a hollow soul who once again grasped a strand of support in her heart. I will participate in the storm competition. Xia Jingyu's clear eyes were filled with unprecedented determination. Qiu Changjian's heart trembled. He seemed to feel a sudden awakening of an oppressive power. Jingyu, you've just recovered from your illness. It's not suitable for you to participate. Long Xiaoye couldn't bear it. Xia Jingyu stepped out of the house and looked up at the snowflakes that filled the sky. In the wind and snow, a pair of beautiful eyes were filled with tears. I must go. That was Su Yu's last wish. Go to Fenghuang Valley and tell Xiener on behalf of Su Yu. I have not let you down. Looking at her lonely figure disappearing into the snow, Long Xiaoye felt a sense of loss. Xia Jingyu had lost her soul. The storm competition had finally arrived. The sanctuary was about to disband. This was the last storm competition. The storm competition was divided into two parts. The competition between prospective holy disciples, the ranking of holy disciples. The venue was in front of the Sage King Hall. Xia Jingyu stepped on the wind and snow as she arrived. Her eyes were filled with snowflakes. The snow-white beauty was peerlessly beautiful, but everyone felt like they were looking at an ice sculpture, and their hearts were frozen. The news about Su Yu spread among the prospective holy disciples. To be buried together with the Slayer King in the valley was admirable and lamentable. In the past, the two of them had disobeyed the Holy King together and shocked the entire sanctuary. Now, Xia Jingyu was the only one left. She was lonely and isolated from the world. Dong, the Holy King's bell rang again. The battle for the prospective holy disciples had finally begun. The doors of the Holy King Hall did not open, but no one doubted that the Holy King was watching everything. The prospective holy disciple competition would be held in a ring. The one who won all the consecutive challenges would become the king of prospective holy disciples. The host was Qiu Changjian. He casually grabbed a name list and said with a complicated expression, Xia Jingyu, get on the stage. Whoosh, the beautiful figure was like a shuttle as she flew across the arena. Under the contrast of the wind and snow, the peerless face of the fairy from the painting was cold and beautiful. Her pair of snow-white eyes were cold and otherworldly. Challenge them according to the previous rankings, from lowest to highest. After every victory, you can rest for an hour, Qiu Changjian announced the rules. The first battle. Student ranked 101st, peak of level 5. I admit defeat. Next battle. I admit defeat. Xia Jingyu's level 7 upper tier was absolutely crushing, causing those who were ranked lower to all give up. Only the top 10 would-be holy disciples could finally fight against Xia Jingyu. Junior sister Jingyu, I'm not a match for him. I give up. Senior sister Lu, who was ranked 10th, clasped her fists and retreated. Zhang Mingyi, ranked 9th, had fallen in the evil forest. Whoosh, ranked 8th, Lu Dong, level 7 lower tier. I'll fight you. Lu Dong licked his lips and stared at Xia Jingyu's beautiful figure. His eyes were burning with passion. Even if he was no match for her, it was not bad to spar with this peerless beauty. Xia Jingyu stood still on the stage and did not move an inch. Snow covered her fragrant shoulders and dyed her hair white. At this moment, she finally made her move. Her jade-like feet stood rooted to the ground, unmoving. With just a raise of her finger, a powerful surge of Zhenqi burst forth. Ah! Lu Dong screamed miserably as he fell off the arena. He was defeated. Xia Jingyu's eyes were as calm as an ancient well. She slowly put down her finger. Whoosh, Zhang Xiaohua, rank 7th, come up. Xia Jingyu raised her finger. Ah, Yang Ling, rank 6th, come up. Xia Jingyu raised her finger. Ah, Du Lin, ranked 5th, had fallen in the evil forest. Zhang Qian, ranked 4th. Zhang Qian, level 7 peak, was only one step away from level 8. Leaping onto the arena, Zhang Qian stood with her hands behind her back. As a woman, she could not help but be jealous of Xia Jingyu's beauty. Junior sister Xia's abilities are not bad. I'll let you have 3 moves. Zhang Qian had a mocking smile on her face. With her abilities at level 7 peak, she could easily crush Xia Jingyu of level 7 upper tier. Xia Jingyu shook her head, her expression indifferent. "No need, I'll defeat you with one move." Zhang Qian was humiliated instead of humiliating Xia Jingyu. Her lips curled into a mocking smile. "You're not strong enough and only know how to seduce people with your looks. I heard that junior brother Su Yu was seduced by you and was willing to die for you?" Xia Jingyu's body trembled. Her beautiful eyes, surrounded by ice and snow, glistened. She did not refute, explain, or defend herself. Su Yu had indeed died for her. This was a pain she would never forget. Zhang Qian was pleased with herself as she sneered. "I think junior brother Su Yu is the same, being tricked by a woman to the point that he'd give up his life. To put it nicely, he's sentimental. To put it bluntly, he's just a simpleton." Qiu Changjian frowned, secretly dissatisfied. Zhang Qian had no shame in humiliating Su Yu like this. But this was an arena match, and he had no right to intervene. Even if he had the right, it was inconvenient. Zhang Qian was the woman of Lu Qing, ranked 8. In the past, Zhang Qian had no one to rely on. Her talents were average, but she was beautiful. Coincidentally, Lu Qing was fond of women. In order to climb higher, Zhang Qian had degenerated into becoming Lu Qing's plaything. With Lu Qing as her backing, no prospective holy disciples dared to provoke her. Even Long Xiaoye had to give her some leeway. On the arena, Xia Jingyu's eyes flashed with a cold light. This was the first time she had spoken since entering the arena. Her voice was raspy and cold, filled with anger and murderous intent. "Those who insult him, die." Xia Jingyu was indifferent to insults. Insulting Su Yu was Xia Jingyu's reverse scale. Every dragon had a reverse scale. Anyone who touched it would be killed. Such murderous words actually came from Xia Jingyu, who was as tranquil as a celestial being in a painting. Qiu Changjian and Long Xiaoye were stunned. Xia Jingyu had really changed. Her cold and murderous aura was completely different from the calm and gentle Xia Jingyu of the past. Zhang Qian laughed coldly. "So what if I insult you? Who do you think you are to kill me? Vixen. Whoosh, let me see what else you have to be proud of other than your flirtatious nature. Seal of peaks and ridges." Zhang Qian's palms were like butterflies, dancing in the air. Two illusions of beautiful peaks appeared. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on them, compelling them. Saint-level technique, Stage 3. As expected of the terrifying fourth-ranked martial artist, Xia Jingyu's beautiful figure stood still, like an ice sculpture. Her eyes did not reflect such a terrifying attack. Her clear eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Those who insult him, die." Her raspy voice contained a cold intent, piercing through the heavens. Swoosh, Xia Jingyu's body transformed into a state of nature, enveloping the entire area. Saint-grade holy decree. Everyone below the stage was shocked. Qiu Changjian was horrified. Xia Jingyu's holy decree had actually reached the level of a holy disciple? Flower-picking finger. Xia Jingyu's clear eyes were cold as she raised her finger. Puff! Zhang Qian, who was laughing coldly, suddenly had a bloody hole in her chest. Blood spurted out from her body. "I admit defeat." Zhang Qian's scalp went numb, and a chill ran down her spine. If that finger had gone any deeper, her heart would have been crushed. Whoosh! Zhang Qian quickly retreated, wanting to jump off the stage. However, to everyone's surprise, Lin Fan's eyes widened. In the arena where serious injury was prohibited, and Zhang Qian had already admitted defeat, Xia Jingyu would not let go. Die! 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 Xia Jingyu was no longer as gentle as before. At this moment, she was like a cold goddess, filled with murderous intent. Puff, puff, puff. Zhang Qian's slender body was instantly pierced with dozens of bloody holes. 70% of her blood had been sucked out. Even if she did not die, Zhang Qian would lose the ability to fight. However, Xia Jingyu did not have the slightest intention of stopping. Instead, she was ruthless. Her murderous intent would not rest until she had achieved her goal. Flower-picking finger. A cold voice pierced through the sky. Even Qiu Changjian could not stop her in time. No one could stop Xia Jingyu, who was filled with murderous intent. Humph! A cold grunt came from within the Holy King Hall. Xia Jingyu grunted, blood seeping from the corner of her mouth. His saint-grade holy decree dissipated just like that. Creak! The stone doors of the Holy King Hall slowly opened. An old man sat cross-legged, his gaze calm as he stared at Xia Jingyu. The Holy King had appeared. Xia Jingyu's eyes were like lightning, shooting out coldly. Even the holy disciples did not dare look directly at the Holy King, but Xia Jingyu was not afraid, coldly staring back at the Holy King. "You hate me." The Holy King's old eyes could see through everything in the world. He saw hatred in Xia Jingyu's eyes. Yes. Xia Jingyu did not hide the hatred in her heart. "Because I stopped you?" the Holy King asked indifferently. "No." Xia Jingyu shook her head, her cold eyes filled with hatred. "You harmed Su Yu. If not for the Holy King's oppression, Su Yu would not have risked his life to enter the evil forest, and he would not have fallen. You want to kill me?" The Holy King's old eyes were calm. Yes. Xia Jingyu's eyes were resolute and fierce. Even though she was a woman, she spoke with an indescribable spirit. "If I do not die one day, I will take your life. I will not hesitate to go to heaven or hell." There was an uproar in the arena, followed by a deathly silence. Throughout history, Xia Jingyu was the only one who dared to say she would kill the Holy King. "I am responsible for his death." Unexpectedly, the Holy King was not angry. Instead, he glanced coldly at the number of prospective holy disciples, his eyes filled with deep regret. "You hate me, kill me, do as you please. If one day you have the ability." The Holy King looked away, slowly closing his eyes, and said indifferently, "Let the competition continue." Everyone's heart trembled. Xia Jingyu had first violated the rules of the arena, then revealed her murderous intent. The Holy King had written it off. Countless people were shocked. They could feel that this was the Holy King's way of making amends to Xia Jingyu out of guilt. The Holy King was apologetic for Su Yu's death. Xia Jingyu retracted her gaze, her cold eyes looking up at the snowy sky. She said indifferently, "Next." Whoosh! A proud figure leaped onto the arena. It was Long Xiaoye. Xia Jingyu was no match for a level 8 peak. "Jingyu, don't be like this. The dead cannot come back to life, you don't have to ruin yourself." Long Xiaoye could not bear it. Xia Jingyu looked at her, her gaze gentle, but her voice was still hoarse and cold. "You don't understand. That was Su Yu's last wish before he died. To use her eyes to see Xiener, to use her heart to say, 'I have not let you down.' Xia Jingyu was willing to use her life to defend his last wish. Then make your move." Long Xiaoye sympathized, but would not give up the right to challenge a holy disciple. Only the king of prospective holy disciples could challenge a real holy disciple. Last year, she had been defeated. This year was her last chance. With a flip of her palm, Xia Jingyu took out 5 elixirs. These were the elixirs Su Yu had given her before he died. Xia Jingyu's cultivation base rose rapidly, preparing to break through on the spot. Long Xiaoye was slightly surprised. She nodded. "I'll wait for you to complete your breakthrough." "No need." Xia Jingyu shook her head. Long Xiaoye was helpless. Even if Xia Jingyu broke through to level 7 peak, she would still be no match for her. "If that's the case, Junior Xia, be careful." Long Xiaoye sighed. Like a fish in water. Swoosh! Long Xiaoye's entire body blended into nature. From afar, it was as if she was nature itself. A saint-grade holy decree. Long Xiaoye has also comprehended a saint-grade holy decree. The crowd was shocked. Long Xiaoye had hidden her strength well. Chapter 86. Xia Jingyu's expression was indifferent as she displayed her saint-grade holy decree. Flower-pinching finger. Her jade-like finger pointed forward, and all water and liquids obeyed her call. However, Long Xiaoye only grunted. Her blood did not spurt out of her body. Both of them had saint-grade holy decrees, but Xia Jingyu could not do anything to Long Xiaoye. Long Xiaoye's absolute cultivation level suppressed Xia Jingyu, putting her in a dangerous situation. Rumble, bam, two slender figures appeared in the arena. One was absolutely beautiful while the other was bursting with heroic bearing. They were like a dazzling scenery that caused one's heart to tremble. The battle lasted for 10 minutes. Xia Jingyu was at a slight disadvantage, but it was still a draw. Qiu Changjian said, "In a duel, the winner will be decided within 100 moves. The one with the upper hand will be the winner." In fact, whether it was Qiu Changjian or the other disciples, they were all amazed. Xia Jingyu was only a rookie, but she was able to fight against Long Xiaoye, the king of prospective holy disciples, for so long. Her improvement shocked everyone. Hearing Qiu Changjian's announcement, Long Xiaoye's eyes turned cold. "Sorry, Jingyu, I have to challenge a holy disciple." Previously, she could not bear to hurt Xia Jingyu, so she had only used 70% of her strength. Now, in order to win, she had to use all her strength. Xia Jingyu's eyes were cold as she took a few steps back and sighed. "I have a reason to win. Senior Long, I'm sorry." Swoosh, at that moment, Xia Jingyu broke through to level 7 peak. Long Xiaoye felt a sudden pressure. She gritted her teeth and attacked with all her strength. 7 star steps. Clang. Long Xiaoye stepped out with her jade-like feet, and according to some kind of extremely rhythmic rhythm, she stepped forward. Every step corresponded to the Big Dipper in the sky. When she stepped down, a dazzling rhythmic sound was produced. This was a rare sound attack. Saint-grade technique complete. The audience exclaimed. Qiu Changjian exclaimed. Whether it was the holy decree or the technique, Long Xiaoye had reached the standard of a holy disciple. Only her cultivation level was slightly lacking. Long Xiaoye's strength skyrocketed. Xia Jingyu's eyes were calm as she stood still. Reverie of dewdrops. With a hoarse voice, Xia Jingyu raised her hand and gently grabbed at Long Xiaoye. Rumble, a strange scene appeared. Long Xiaoye's expression changed abruptly. She looked like she was in pain. Everyone looked over and found that the snowflakes and water vapor in the air around Long Xiaoye had all gathered around her, wrapping her within. A layer of ripples visible to the naked eye covered Long Xiaoye's entire body. In an instant, Long Xiaoye felt as if she had been pressed into water, unable to breathe. No matter how much Long Xiaoye channeled her true qi, she was unable to disperse the water ripples. As time passed, she felt more and more uncomfortable. Her face turned red and she gradually lost the ability to resist. With a flick of Xia Jingyu's finger, the water vapor wrapped around Long Xiaoye and threw her out of the arena. The whole place was dead silent. Great mastery of a deity-level technique. A trembling voice echoed out from the crowd. Everyone looked at Xia Jingyu and felt their scalps go numb. Of the 3 deity-tier cultivation techniques in the Sanctuary Divine Pavilion, the Reverie of Dewdrops was actually comprehended by Xia Jingyu to the large success stage. What kind of terrifying perception was this? In the eyes of the Holy King, there was a rare glimmer of light. Within the sanctuary, there was only one person who had comprehended a deity-tier cultivation technique, and that was the eldest disciple, Zhao Guang. But Xia Jingyu had comprehended it as well. Long Xiaoye was shocked. In the evil forest, she had never seen Xia Jingyu make a move. She had always thought that Xia Jingyu was relying on Su Yu's puppet to take advantage of the situation. But in reality, Xia Jingyu's abilities were far above that of a level 8 lower-tier puppet. A breathtaking battle that shocked the audience. Xia Jingyu was the undisputed king of the prospective holy disciples. Next was the ranking of the holy disciples. In reality, this was the most important round for the holy king. The ranking battle of the holy disciples was brilliant. Every holy disciple had at least a level 9 cultivation base. The dazzling battle was an eye-opener for the prospective holy disciples, and they were fascinated by it. Finally, the battle came to an end. Zhao Guang had won the honor of being the king of the holy disciples. No enemy could last more than 10 moves against him. Zhao Guang, who was defeated in 10 moves, was a genius who had shaken the entire sanctuary. His unparalleled talent made people look up to him. The rest of the rankings had slight changes, especially towards the back. Qiu Changjian had shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. He had risen from 10th place to 7th place. Lu Qing, who had been ranked 8th, had fallen to 10th place. The sanctuary was about to disband. In the past month, the holy disciples had been extremely nervous. Their abilities had increased to varying degrees. At this point, the storm competition had come to an end. There was only one competition left. The challenge competition. The king of the prospective holy disciples had a chance to become a holy disciple. According to the rules, whoever defeated the last holy disciple could take his place. Xia Jingyu had to defeat Lu Qing to become a holy disciple and follow the holy king to Fenghuang Valley. Qiu Changjian sighed. Xia Jingyu's cultivation base had been suppressed. There was not much hope. The challenge competition begins. Qiu Changjian said. Whoosh! Xia Jingyu leapt onto the arena and stood silently. Beside Lu Qing, the pale Zhang Qian stared at Xia Jingyu with hatred. Brother Qing, help me teach this coquettish fox a lesson. Lu Qing looked up. Her graceful figure stood amidst the snowflakes, like a fairy concubine. It was a fascinating sight. A burning sensation filled his heart. Slowly nodding, Lu Qing leapt onto the arena. With a smile, Lu Qing consoled, Junior Xia, the dead cannot come back to life. My condolences. Xia Jingyu's eyes were cold. She turned a deaf ear. Lu Qing continued, Senior brother knows that junior sister Xia and junior brother Su have a deep relationship, but I hope that junior sister Xia can be open-minded. If there's anything wrong in your heart, you can talk to senior brother. If junior brother Su can do it, senior brother can also do it. The crowd was in an uproar. Lu Qing was known as a playboy. No one would have thought that he would target Xia Jingyu. He had used her grief over losing Su Yu to enter her heart and soul. Zhang Qian's face was green bitter. Xia Jingyu's expression was cold, her eyes filled with disgust. Don't compare yourself to Su Yu. You will only sully his name. You! Lu Qing thought of himself as handsome, tall, and powerful. He could easily deal with young girls. For a young girl like Xia Jingyu, who was in the prime of her youth and had lost her soul, she could handle him easily. Who would have thought that Xia Jingyu would humiliate him in public? Haha, I have spoken too much. I am sorry. Let us begin. Lu Qing's expression was apologetic, but his eyes were filled with coldness. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. He had originally wanted to spar with Xia Jingyu to improve their relationship. Who knew that Xia Jingyu would not know what was good for her? Since that was the case, she could not blame him for being ruthless. Great river flows east. Lu Qing attacked. It was a saint-level top-class technique. The force of his palm was like a rainbow, like a great river from beyond the heavens. Xia Jingyu's eyes turned serious. She knew that she was no match for him, but she still had an unyielding glow. Reverie of Dewdrop Seal. The thick water vapor made it difficult for Lu Qing to breathe. Lu Qing's face was red, revealing a pained expression. But he was still able to do it with ease. The great river comes from the east, carrying with it an endless momentum, forcefully broke through the water vapor. Xia Jingyu was forced back. Her internal organs were shaken, and blood flowed from her mouth. But Xia Jingyu did not retreat. Great river flows east. Reverie of Dewdrop Seal. The absolute suppression of their cultivation levels made it difficult for Xia Jingyu to defend herself. After 10 moves, Xia Jingyu's chest was a bright red. A sky full of snowflakes fell on her body, turning into water vapor and drenching her clothes. Her clothes were also drenched, the eye-piercing bright red. She was on the verge of sustaining serious injuries. Qiu Changjian could not bear to watch. Junior Xia, just admit defeat. You can't win. I can't lose. I can't lose. Xia Jingyu's beautiful eyes were filled with tears. That was Su Yu's last wish. It was the last wish that Su Yu would ever utter in her life. She had to fulfill it. She would die without regrets. The people below the stage were deeply moved. She knew that she was no match for Xia Jingyu, so why was she so stubborn? Lu Qing had already withdrawn his playfulness. He was shocked by Xia Jingyu's fearless stance. Seeing Xia Jingyu attack without fear of death, Lu Qing's eyes flashed. Great river flows east. Lu Qing attacked with all his might. Rumble, poo, Xia Jingyu suffered an unprecedented injury. She was sent flying, spitting out blood as she fell off the stage. Below and below the arena, there was silence. In the end, she had still lost? Sighs could be heard all around. Xia Jingyu was sent flying, her eyes filled with tears. She could no longer hold them back, tears rolling down her cheeks. This defeat caused her heart to feel as if it was shattering. In the end, she had not fulfilled Su Yu's last wish. Xia Jingyu's teary eyes lost their last shred of light as she laughed mournfully. Qiu Changjian's heart was filled with sorrow. He wanted to help Xia Jingyu up. But at that moment, look! What's that in the sky? Someone cried out in alarm. The crowd looked over. They could only see a ball of purple flame dancing in the sky. But what made their pupils shrink was that in the blink of an eye, the purple flame had teleported a mile away. It was as if the ball of flame had teleported through space. In a breath's time, the crowd saw it clearly. It was not a flame, but a purple-robed figure. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back. It was as if he was standing in the same spot. His feet were still, not moving an inch. But every time he blinked, he would mysteriously teleport a distance away, leaving behind a series of blurry purple afterimages. Is that a person or a ghost? The crowd was shocked. Such an inhuman teleportation technique was beyond imagination. The Holy King looked up, his indifferent eyes filled with surprise. It's him. Not good. He's coming for us. The crowd was horrified, taking up defensive positions. Qiu Changjian led the way, blocking the front. A mile away, the purple figure was approaching in an inhuman manner. Stop! But just as Qiu Changjian was berating the crowd, they heard a desolate sigh behind them. Jingyu, Qiu Changjian's entire body trembled violently. Everyone was horrified. When they looked back, they were horrified to find that the figure had appeared behind them and had caught Xia Jingyu in his arms. And the purple-robed figure in front of them was just an afterimage. The real purple-robed figure had long since arrived behind them. What kind of divine being could have such an inhuman posture? The crowd looked over. It was a young man dressed in fluttering purple robes. His figure was thin, his features handsome, and his eyes were tightly shut. Su Yu! Qiu Changjian cried out involuntarily, unable to believe his eyes. The face was indeed Su Yu's. But the Su Yu in front of him, his once fluttering black hair was now silvery white, hanging down to his waist. Soft and elegant, flying freely. Paired with his purple robes, he looked mysterious and noble. It was as if Su Yu had come from some celestial palace. Chapter 87. Xia Jingyu felt a familiar chest and heard a familiar sigh. Her body trembled as she opened her eyes. What she saw was a face that she could not be more familiar with. Su Yu! Xia Jingyu could not believe what she was seeing as she muttered. She even wondered if she was hallucinating due to her injuries. Su Yu was alive. Jingyu! I'm sorry I'm late. A bleak sigh pulled Xia Jingyu back from the surreal reality. Su Yu! A sorrowful cry pierced through the heavens and resounded throughout the sanctuary. Xia Jingyu held back her tears of laughter as she stretched out her arms to hug the silver-haired, purple-robed man tightly. Because she was hugging him so tightly, she could not even breathe properly. But she did not let go. Instead, she hugged him even tighter, as if she was afraid that this was a dream that was too real. At this moment, Xia Jingyu had forgotten about heaven and earth, forgotten about time and space, forgotten about the arena, and forgotten about herself. In her heart, there was only Su Yu, the Su Yu that she had lost and regained. Xia Jingyu raised her face and stared at Su Yu. She was so happy that she could not speak. She could not use words to express the joy in her heart. All words paled in comparison to words. The crowd finally regained their senses after a long while. The silver-haired, purple-robed man was Su Yu, who had been buried in the landslide. Had he escaped death, or had he come back to life? It was no wonder that the crowd had such absurd thoughts. Su Yu was like a completely different person now. Xia Jingyu's shoulders trembled as she smiled with tears in her eyes. Her soulless eyes were once again filled with vigor. After a long while, when her heart had completely calmed down, Xia Jingyu looked at Su Yu. His cheeks were much thinner. She could imagine how much pain Su Yu had endured in the past half a month, buried in the rubble. But the biggest change was Su Yu's long hair. His black hair had once fluttered in the wind, but now it was silver-white. His purple robe and silver hair made him look like a deity. "Brother Yu, your hair and your eyes." Xia Jingyu finally realized that Su Yu had not opened his eyes. His eyes, which had once been like the deep starry sky, were now tightly shut. Could it be that his eyes had been damaged in the landslide? Although Su Yu had not opened his eyes, it seemed as if he could see everything. He closed his eyes and smiled. "It's inconvenient for me to open my eyes, but it's not a big deal. As for my hair," a faint smile and relief blossomed at the corner of his mouth. "A trace of poison remains in my body. Although it has been expelled, it will still affect me. My hair will be difficult to change." That day, the Slayer King had grabbed Su Yu's ankle with his venom-covered bony claws. A trace of poison remained in his body. Within half a month, Su Yu's hair turned white overnight. Xia Jingyu stroked Su Yu's silver hair and wept in self-reproach. "I'm sorry, Brother Yu. I couldn't save you earlier." Su Yu closed his eyes and smiled. His heart was filled with gratitude. "No, it was Jingyu who saved me." On that day, boulders tumbled down, heaven and earth split apart, and doomsday arrived. Su Yu, who was about to be buried, suddenly discovered the trap that he had set up. At the critical moment, he used the entwined dragon silk to escape into the pit. Shortly after, a giant rock was placed on top of the pit, blocking the entrance and trapping Su Yu inside. However, it was also because of this that none of the crushed stones could enter the pit. Su Yu had avoided the fate of being crushed to death by the rubble. But outside of the giant rock, there were many crushed stones. If Su Yu had moved the giant rock, it would have caused the rubble above to tilt, completely burying him. It was Xia Jingyu. For 5 days and 5 nights, without sleep or rest, she had moved away most of the crushed stones. Only then did Su Yu have the chance to crawl out safely. If not for Xia Jingyu's persistence, Su Yu would have been buried alive. In the past half a month, Su Yu had relied on melted snow to quench his thirst and the moss on the rocks to survive. "Brother Yu." Xia Jingyu's head was deeply pressed against Su Yu's chest, her heart aching. Did Su Yu survive in such a hopeless situation? When the crowd regained their senses, they sighed. Su Yu was lucky, but Xia Jingyu's persistence had saved him. Qiu Changjian was pleasantly surprised. He had just remembered his duty. He looked at Lu Qing and announced helplessly, "In the challenge, Xia Jingyu has lost. The challenge is over." "It's over." Su Yu's purple robe blurred as he disappeared. The crowd was shocked. From the corner of their eyes, they saw a silver-haired man in purple robes appear on the arena. His inhuman demeanor shocked the crowd. Lu Qing, who was about to leave the arena, frowned. "What, you want to challenge me?" The crowd was shocked. Su Yu had returned and immediately wanted to challenge a holy disciple? Anticipation filled the faces of the crowd. They all wanted to see how Su Yu's abilities had changed, even though he looked like a completely different person. But, to everyone's surprise, no. Su Yu calmly shook his head. Then what do you want to do? Lu Qing secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Su Yu was strange, and he did not want to fight him. Furthermore, he had humiliated Xia Jingyu earlier, so it was inevitable that he would feel guilty. Su Yu's eyes were still closed. His purple robes and silver hair made him look like a celestial being amidst the ice and snow. He was calm and ethereal, as if he did not belong to this world. I'm not challenging you, I'm teaching you the ways of a person. The arena was silent. Even a level 9 upper tier would not dare be so arrogant as to teach a level 9 lower tier the ways of a person. Su Yu's tone was arrogant, but his character was shallow. Could it be that he had encountered a great disaster that caused his personality to change? Xia Jingyu's eyes were filled with doubt and confusion. In her memory, Su Yu was definitely not arrogant and conceited. Why was he acting like this now? Lu Qing laughed angrily. Teaching me the ways of a person? You think you're worthy? Teaching you is enough, make your move. Su Yu stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Fine. You asked for it. Lu Qing was furious. He had been challenged in front of everyone and was being taught the ways of a person. If he were to retreat now, how would he be able to face others in the future? Great river flows east. Saint level cultivation technique top class. His power was like a surging river, unstoppable. His momentum was terrifying, his power unparalleled. The strong wind blew against Su Yu's purple robes. His silver hair danced in the wind. Su Yu closed his eyes with his hands behind his back, not moving an inch. Crack. Lu Qing attacked fiercely, but his fists stopped 3 inches away from Su Yu, unable to advance any further. A thick wall of ice suddenly appeared and forcefully blocked Lu Qing's fists. How is this possible? Lu Qing was shocked. Su Yu had not moved a single finger from beginning to end, yet he had blocked Lu Qing's strongest attack. I don't believe it. Lu Qing's eyes were fierce as he continued to attack. But no matter how one looked at it, the moment his fists collided, a white light flashed and a wall of ice appeared, blocking his fist. Su Yu had not moved an inch. The audience was dead silent. In their eyes, Lu Qing had used all his skills, but could not do anything to Su Yu, who was standing still. From beginning to end, Su Yu had not made a move. A moment later, Lu Qing had attacked more than 10 times, but Su Yu was not injured in the slightest. Lu Qing's heart pounded wildly. Are you a human or a ghost? Since you've had enough, now it's my turn. Su Yu closed his eyes and sighed. Lu Qing's expression changed. Whoosh, Lu Qing no longer had any intention to fight. His figure flashed as he left the arena. At the same time, he anxiously shouted, I admit, slap, slap, slap. Suddenly, a ray of purple light teleported in front of him. Lu Qing only had time to see the silver-haired figure in the purple robe before his face was slapped 3 times. The crisp sound reverberated throughout the arena. These 3 slaps are to teach you not to think too highly of yourself. You do not know that you are a frog at the bottom of a well, unable to withstand a single blow, Su Yu calmly said. Lu Qing's face was swollen and burning. He could not believe that he had been slapped. Su Yu. You insulted me. Slap, slap, slap. Lu Qing could not even see his movements clearly before his face was slapped 3 more times. These 3 slaps are to teach you not to take advantage of your power to bully others. Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. Hearing the humiliating words, Lu Qing was furious. But at this moment, he knew that he was no match for Su Yu. He hurriedly said, I admit, slap, slap, slap. Su Yu did not give him a chance to finish his sentence, slapping him 3 more times. The last 3 slaps are to teach you to be sensible. You need to know who you can bully and who you cannot bully. The lesson is over. You can scram now. Su Yu flicked his finger. Lu Qing tumbled down from the arena. The crowd looked up at Su Yu on the arena, inexplicably shocked. The 10th-ranked holy disciple, a strong level 9 lower tier, could only be slapped by Su Yu without the ability to retaliate? Lu Qing's face was swollen and bloodied, his eyes filled with hatred. The pain was a small matter, but being publicly slapped and taught a lesson, losing face was a big deal. Brother Kuan. Covering his face, Lu Qing scurried in front of a holy disciple. You have to stand up for me. Su Yu is too much of a bully. The so-called Brother Kuan was the 5th-ranked holy disciple, Lu Kuan. His abilities had reached level 9 upper tier. His figure was thin, his eyes sharp, his short hair matched with his chiseled cheeks, giving off a cold and resolute feeling. Hearing this, Lu Kuan's eyes were filled with disdain. He coldly scolded, "Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. You humiliated my female companion first. Your skills are inferior and you were humiliated by Su Yu. What do you have to complain about? If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being useless." Lu Qing's face alternated between green and red. He and Lu Kuan came from the same country and had a good relationship. He had thought that Lu Kuan would stand up for him. He did not expect to be humiliated instead. But a newbie dares to teach a holy disciple a lesson. Such arrogance cannot be allowed to continue. Lu Kuan let out a cold grunt, leaping onto the arena. Whoosh! Standing steadily on the arena, Lu Kuan coldly snorted, "Before you teach someone a lesson, you must be prepared to be taught a lesson. Do not think too highly of yourself. Let me teach you this lesson." Feeling his level 9 upper tier cultivation level, Su Yu was calm, lightly shaking his head. "You are no match for me, step down." "Insolence!" Lu Kuan was furious. "Open your eyes and let me see how arrogant you are." Su Yu calmly said, "You are not worthy of me opening my eyes." "Ha ha! Su Yu, I, the holy disciple, will definitely teach you a lesson about humility." Lu Kuan was furious. He did not even have the right to look at Su Yu with his eyes open. Su Yu helplessly shook his head. He had a reason not to open his eyes. He had narrowly escaped death, and many changes had occurred to his body, including this eye. He could not open it so easily. "Kneel and receive your punishment," Lu Kuan growled. Whoosh! Lu Kuan's toes moved, his figure as fast as lightning as he attacked Su Yu. But at this moment, a figure flew over from the edge of the sanctuary. He held a fiery red jade pendant in his hand, emitting a captivating red light in the wind, transforming into a fire phoenix in the air. Envoy of Fenghuang Valley? Lu Kuan's pupils dilated, subconsciously stopping what he was doing, his eyes filled with shock. The Xinhua continent, Fenghuang Empire's Fenghuang Valley, and the sanctuary of the Alliance of the 9 Empires were all extraordinary places. It was rumored that the master of Fenghuang Valley was also a holy king. The holy king and the sanctuary were the only 2 holy kings on the entire continent. The holy king's aged eyes glowed. His cross-legged figure leisurely got up and strode out of the holy king's hall. Chapter 88. Shuar. The figure rapidly approached. He was about 20 years old, and his face was like a jade crown. His facial features were elegant, and he was extraordinarily handsome. His cultivation base of level 9 upper tier was shocking. In high spirits, he lightly leaped onto the arena and gazed at the holy king from afar. He cupped his hands and bowed. Fenghuang Valley's Zhan Fiyun pays his respects to the holy king on the orders of the valley master. The holy king said indifferently, "What is it, Ki?" Zhan Feiyun was neither servile nor overbearing. With a calm expression, he said, "Pass the message on behalf of the valley master. Go quickly. We won't wait for you if you're late." "What a good! I won't wait for you when you are out of time." How dare he be so rude to a saint king? The master of Fenghuang Valley was too arrogant. The holy king's gaze was sharp and cold. "Go back and tell her that I will not show mercy in the battle of the century." "Yes, I will definitely convey the holy king's message." Zhang Feiyun's face was full of respect as he slowly withdrew. Wait. Right at this moment, Lu Kuan scolded in a low voice. Zhang Feiyun stopped in his tracks and looked at him with contempt. What's the matter? Lu Kuan's expression was ice-cold. Do you think you can come and go as you please in the heavenly sanctuary? Do you think this is Fenghuang Valley? What do you want? Zhang Feiyun was calm and composed. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, a playful smile on his face. Lu Kuan's eyes burned with battle intent. I want to see if the arrogance of the people of Fenghuang Valley is worthy of their strength. Hearing this, the holy disciples watched silently. Fenghuang Valley had gone too far. To travel thousands of miles to send a message to the Sage King and not wait for him on time was a great disrespect to the Sage King. Zhang Feiyun was also condescending and arrogant. It was necessary to teach him a lesson. You? Zhang Feiyun shook his head lightly, his eyes filled with disdain. You are no match for me. Lu Kuan laughed angrily. First, he was looked down upon by Su Yu. Then, he was looked down upon by Zhang Feiyun, who was at the same cultivation level as him. If he did not fight, his reputation would be tarnished. Whether I'm a match or not, we'll only know after we try. Take this. Lu Kuan shouted. Rise and fall of the mountains and seas. Lu Kuan bellowed as his saint-grade holy decree appeared around him. Walala, in everyone's ears, it was as if they could hear the sound of raging waves crashing into the mountains. The magnificent momentum shook one's soul. Puff! The would-be holy disciple who was at the edge of the arena flew backward as if he had been hit by a huge impact. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Qing's face was pale and fearful. Lu Kuan's holy decree was so strong that it was hard to beat him among the holy disciples. Only the top 3 holy disciples could compete with Lu Kuan in terms of holy decree. However, what shocked everyone was that, rumble, the power of the mountains and seas suppressing the heavens pressed down on Zhang Feiyun. Facing such a terrifying force, Zhang Feiyun remained calm. His lips curled into a disdainful smile. Just so. The light at the end of the tunnel. Zhang Feiyun's figure was blurry and indistinct like a shadow of light. It flickered indeterminately and was difficult to grasp. The power of the mountains and seas seemed to be pressing down on the air, unable to do anything to Zhang Feiyun. Everyone in the arena was shocked. This is a saint-grade holy decree? No, it's a saint decree that's even purer and stronger than a saint-grade saint decree. Zhang Feiyun's lips curled into an indifferent and disdainful smile. A mere saint-grade holy decree dares to come out and make a fool of yourself. Lu Kuan's eyes were filled with shock. What kind of holy decree did Zhang Feiyun possess? Without giving Lu Kuan any time to be shocked, Zhang Feiyun strode forward as though he was taking a stroll in the park. His speed was also extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he was close to Lu Kuan. Fist suppressing the mountains and rivers. Zhang Feiyun threw a punch. Under the punch, it was as though the mountains and rivers had shattered and the rivers flowed in reverse. It was as though thousands of miles of mountains and rivers had been suppressed by the punch. Lu Kuan faced the punch head-on. He could feel the unavoidable force of the punch. Palm destroying the earth. Lu Kuan gritted his teeth and threw a punch. The air whimpered and the ground beneath his feet trembled. It was as though the palm could destroy the heavens and the earth, causing the earth to crack. The punch and the palm collided. Boom, puff, thud. Lu Kuan took a few steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with disbelief. He was actually defeated. He was defeated in 2 moves. They were both at level 9 upper tier, but the difference in strength was shocking. Everyone in the arena sucked in a breath of cold air. The Holy King's aged eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Zhang Feiyun, who had defeated his opponent in 2 moves, sneered, "Weakling." Lu Kuan's face turned red. With blood in his mouth, he said angrily, "Frog at the bottom of a well, arrogant and arrogant. The sanctuary also has a level 9 upper-tier holy disciple who can defeat me in 2 moves. She is Senior Wang Jing, who is ranked 3rd. The people of Feng Wang Valley are so arrogant. Aren't you afraid of making a fool of yourself? Zhang Feiyun's strength was very strong. In Feng Wang Valley, he was probably ranked at the top. Being so arrogant, it would be difficult for him to achieve anything. Who knew? Zhang Feiyun's lips curled into a playful smile. Oh? Frog at the bottom of a well? Do you know what my ranking is in Feng Wang Valley? Lu Kuan's face stiffened. Zhang Feiyun's playful smile made Lu Kuan feel serious. Perhaps the overall strength of Feng Wang Valley was slightly stronger than the sanctuary. However, they were all trained by the Holy King. Even if there was a difference, it should not be too big. Haha, are you trying to tell me that in Feng Wang Valley, you are not even in the top 5? Lu Kuan laughed coldly. With Zhang Feiyun's strength, it was not impossible for him to be ranked 4th or 5th in Feng Wang Valley. After all, if his strength was placed in the sanctuary, he would be in the top 3. Haha! Zhang Feiyun's lips curled into a disdainful smile. Top 5? You sanctuary disciples are the real frogs at the bottom of a well. In Feng Wang Valley, I am only ranked 10th. What? 10th? Everyone was shocked. To be ranked 3rd in the sanctuary, he was only ranked 10th in Feng Wang Valley. If Zhang Feiyun was not lying, then how terrifying was Feng Wang Valley's strength? The hearts of the sanctuary disciples trembled like never before. If the 10th was so strong, then what kind of talent would the 1st be? The Holy King's eyes were calm. After a moment of silence, he said, I will only bring the top 5 holy disciples with me to Feng Wang Valley. The rest of the holy disciples are useless. The 10 holy disciples were shocked again. Zhang Feiyun's appearance had made the Holy King change his mind. The hearts of the holy disciples trembled, especially those ranked 6th to 10th. Their expressions changed drastically. If they could not follow the Holy King, they would face the same fate as the prospective holy disciples. Swoosh, 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 in an instant, the gazes of the 5 holy disciples shot towards the 5th-ranked Lu Kuan. According to the rules of the Holy Disciple Challenge, one could replace one of the holy disciples by defeating one of them. Even if their abilities were slightly lacking, this was their only chance to follow the Holy King. Senior Lu, I challenge you. The holy disciples who did not have the courage to fight Lu Kuan grasped at the last straw and requested to be challenged. The Holy King acquiesced. However, an indifferent voice drifted over from a corner of the arena. Senior brothers, could it be that you've forgotten that I'm still in the arena? The 5 holy disciples finally realized that the battle between Su Yu and Lu Kuan had not yet begun. Zhang Feiyun had interrupted them midway. According to the order, Su Yu should be the first to challenge. Lu Kuan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and returned to the arena. His eyes flashed. Su Yu, to think you still have the courage to challenge me after witnessing my battle. I am in awe. Even though he had lost, no one doubted his abilities. However, what shocked Lu Kuan and the rest of the arena was that Su Yu's eyes were tightly shut, not facing Lu Kuan. Senior Lu, you have misunderstood. The person I want to challenge is not you, it's him. Su Yu stood with his hands behind his back and took a step forward, facing Zhang Feiyun. What? The person Su Yu wanted to challenge was Zhang Feiyun. His abilities were enough to place him in the top 3 of the sanctuary. Zhang Feiyun's eyes flashed with a cold light. Oh? You are Xiener's fiancé, Su Yu? He had asked around and easily found out that the famous Su Yu had entered the sanctuary. Zhang Feiyun naturally did not dare kill Su Yu, who had become a sanctuary disciple. This matter required the master of Feng Wang Valley to intervene. Hearing Xiener's name, Su Yu's heart trembled. Xiener was indeed in Feng Wang Valley. Was she well? Was she being nurtured? Had she been bullied? Suddenly, his heart was filled with the image of Xiener's petite figure. He wished he could rush to Feng Wang Valley to meet Xiener. Do you want to fight me? Su Yu felt a slight hostility from Zhang Feiyun. Zhang Feiyun coldly grunted, "That's exactly what I wanted. A blind man like you is not worthy of Siener." Whoosh, Zhang Feiyun took a step forward, his lips curled into a mocking smile. "How about I let you have 3 moves first? Who asked me to have a close relationship with Siener?" His words were laced with humiliation. Relying on a woman to gain the upper hand was a humiliation to a man. "No need, you can attack with all your might, before you have the chance to." Su Yu was indifferent, his tone calm, like the calm waters of autumn and winter. But his words caused a huge uproar. Everyone in the arena was shocked. Su Yu's words meant that if he wanted to, Zhang Feiyun would not even have the chance to attack. Even for the Holy King, his old eyes were filled with doubt. Long Xiaoye guessed that Su Yu was going to use a scheme to win with his wits? Having seen how Su Yu killed the Slayer King, Long Xiaoye had no doubt that Su Yu was scheming. Zhang Feiyun was stunned. He did not expect Su Yu to say such ridiculous words. "Ha ha!" Zhang Feiyun regained his senses, shaking his head and laughing. "I thought that Siener's fiancé, even if he was a commoner, would be a talented man. I did not expect you to be blind in both eyes and heart to say such foolish words. How pathetic!" Zhang Feiyun's expression turned cold, shaking his head. "I feel bad for Siener, to give herself to an ignorant person like you. If she follows you in the future, she will be implicated and wronged." Su Yu stood calmly, expressionless as he shook his head. "I gave you a chance to attack, but you used it to make noise. Are all the people of Fenghuang Valley so annoying?" Su Yu turned a deaf ear to his words, treating them like air. Zhang Feiyun was furious at Su Yu's disregard, his expression cold. "Who do you think you are? Let me teach you a lesson on behalf of Fenghuang Valley." Whoosh, Zhang Feiyun attacked. But Su Yu did not move, his voice calm. "Your chance to attack has already been used. In front of me, you do not even have the right to attack." Su Yu moved. This was the first time he had moved since he entered the arena. Chapter 89. In an instant the snowstorm drifted. The snowflakes in the sky seemed to have sensed the summons of their king and danced wildly in the sky. An icy aura swept out and surrounded the sky and the earth. Zhang Feiyun's expression froze as he sensed the strange changes. "What a farce!" Zhang Feiyun harumphed disdainfully before making his move decisively. Mountain-suppressing fist. He was unable to unleash this punch, because the snowstorm that swept through the world suddenly transformed into countless ice thorns. Snowflakes were everywhere. The icicle thorns were all-pervasive. Zhang Feiyun was caught off guard. With a miserable scream, Zhang Feiyun's body was instantly pierced by thousands of ice shards. Fresh blood sprayed out in all directions and condensed into blood-colored ice needles that fell onto the ground of the arena. Light at the end of the tunnel. At the critical moment, Zhang Feiyun decisively used his holy decree and tried to use his body of light to avoid the pervasive ice attack. However, he did not have time to display his holy decree. Crack! The snowflakes in the sky suddenly shattered, turning into countless crystalline drops that dripped onto Zhang Feiyun's body. The coldness of the cold liquid was bone-piercing. The blood dripped onto Zhang Feiyun's body and condensed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a breath's time, Zhang Feiyun was turned into an ice sculpture. He still maintained the posture of displaying the holy decree, but in the end, he was unable to display it. Slowly putting down his finger, Su Yu stood on the spot, his feet never moving a single step. "I've already given you the chance to attack." Su Yu sighed softly and stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His silver hair danced in the snowflakes that filled the sky. A purple-clothed phantom with silver hair like an immortal. The silver-haired, purple-clothed figure stood quietly on the arena, contrasting with the deathly silence below the arena. Zhang Feiyun actually didn't have the chance to make a move. Regardless of whether it was the mountain river suppressing fist or the willow glimmer flower, Su Yu could not even use them with a lift of his finger. The deathly silence lasted for a moment before the sound of people gasping could be heard. Fear was written all over Lu Kuan's face, and his heart was racing. He had always felt that Su Yu was an arrogant person. However, after witnessing the battle with his own eyes, he knew that Su Yu was merely stating a fact. Zhang Feiyun, who had defeated him in 2 moves, did not even have the chance to attack Su Yu. He was indeed no match for Su Yu, and he was not worthy of Su Yu opening his eyes. At this moment, Lu Kuan was filled with respect and admiration. The rest of the people finally felt relieved. Su Yu wasn't being arrogant. He was merely speaking from a height that they had never reached. The Holy King was surprised. He stared at Su Yu's heart thoughtfully. The top 3 of the 10 great holy disciples stood side by side. Junior Wang Jing, how do you think Su Yu's abilities compare to yours? Chen Liang, who was ranked second, glanced at Su Yu indifferently. Wang Jing's bright eyes were calm. After pondering for a while, she slowly shook her head. Stronger than me, not weaker. The corner of Chen Liang's mouth twitched. Junior sister, you don't have to belittle yourself. His strength can only be said to be passable. He's still not as good as you. Is that so? Wang Jing shook her head inwardly. If Su Yu's abilities were only at this level, then he was indeed weaker than her. But, what if Su Yu still had some hidden techniques? Zhao Guang was calm and composed. Regardless of the time or place, he was always composed, like a rock. He glanced at Su Yu and said indifferently, not bad. Chen Liang was secretly shocked, slightly dissatisfied. Su Yu had actually received a passable evaluation from Zhao Guang. He had overestimated Su Yu. Crack boom! The ice sculpture shattered, and Zhang Feiyun was freed from the ice. His entire body was frozen stiff, as if he had fallen into an icy lake, causing his body to shiver. However, what was even more shaken was his heart. Su Yu was actually this powerful. In front of him, there was no chance for him to make a move. Although Su Yu had made use of the current weather, who could guarantee that he didn't have any hidden tricks up his sleeves? Zhang Feiyun was ashamed when he recalled his arrogance in front of Su Yu, even saying that he would let Su Yu have 3 moves. Zhang Feiyun covered his face and retreated from the arena. He was too ashamed to stay any longer and left in a sorry state. Many heavenly sanctuary disciples felt proud and elated. No matter how powerful he was, he would not have the chance to attack Su Yu. Swish, swish, swish. The 5 holy disciples fixed their gazes on Su Yu. Zhang Feiyun defeated Lu Kuan with a flip of his hand, while Su Yu killed Zhang Feiyun with a flick of his finger. Without a doubt, Su Yu had replaced Lu Kuan as the 5th strongest holy disciple. If he wanted to follow the Holy King, he had to defeat Su Yu. However, after witnessing Su Yu's power with their own eyes, the 5 holy disciples found it difficult to summon the will to challenge him. After struggling for a while, they finally gave up. Lu Kuan and the others still had the will to fight, but Su Yu was like a natural moat that made them feel despair. The crowd sighed. Once upon a time, Su Yu was merely a level 5 upper-tier newcomer. A month later, he was already one of the top 5 holy disciples. Holy King, according to the promise, if I become a holy disciple, can you take back the holy energy in Jingyu's body? Su Yu faced the Holy King and calmly said. This was the promise the Holy King had made to Su Yu. If Su Yu was unable to become a holy disciple within a month, Xia Jingyu would be destroyed as a warning to others. Unexpectedly, the Holy King's eyes were cold. No. The entire arena was deathly silent. The Holy King had publicly broken the promise. The crowd could not understand why the Holy King would want to kill Xia Jingyu. The strand of holy energy had persisted for a month and was on the verge of exploding. Su Yu's expression suddenly turned cold. Holy King, are you forcing me to attack you? The Holy King's aged face was indifferent as usual. He took a step forward and looked up at the snow-filled sky. The top 5 holy disciples follow me. The sanctuary from today onwards disband. He had actually ignored Su Yu's cold words. At that moment, the holy energy in Xia Jingyu's body seemed to have been affected by some sort of disturbance and suddenly exploded. Humph! Xia Jingyu let out a light grunt, her delicate body trembling, her jade face filled with pain. Swoosh! Su Yu flew onto the arena and pulled Xia Jingyu into his arms, his eyes cold. Holy King, you, no! Xia Jingyu stretched out her slender hand and covered Su Yu's mouth. You have misunderstood the Holy King. Xia Jingyu looked at the Holy King, her heart filled with gratitude. This strand of holy energy is actually the power to increase one's cultivation base. The Holy King is rewarding you. Hiss! Everyone was shocked. It turned out that Su Yu's resolute words of, "I have to see someone," had moved the Holy King. At that time, he had pretended to be angry and injected the holy energy into Xia Jingyu's body as a threat. In reality, it was a spur for Su Yu to train hard within a month. At the same time, it was also a sign of appreciation for Su Yu's courage to defy him. This strand of holy energy would not cause Xia Jingyu's body to explode and die. Instead, it would lie dormant in her body for a month before exploding and increasing Xia Jingyu's cultivation base. The Holy King's good intentions were truly moving. Su Yu was moved. He cupped his fists and bowed apologetically. "Thank you, Holy King, for your help." The Holy King, who was walking in front, let out a cold grunt. "Don't do it again." At that moment, Xia Jingyu was on the verge of a breakthrough and could not walk freely. Su Yu squatted down and gently said, "I'll carry you." Xia Jingyu blushed slightly, biting her lips, under the watchful eyes of the public. But after experiencing Su Yu's return, Xia Jingyu's heart was much calmer. She could no longer deny that Su Yu had an irreplaceable place in her heart. Xia Jingyu's face was flushed red as she climbed onto Su Yu's back. She lowered her head and shyly closed her eyes, not daring to meet the eyes of the crowd. Feeling the two soft lumps on his back gently pressing against each other, warm and fragrant, Su Yu's heart was filled with a strange feeling, but his heart quickly became clear. He was indebted to Xia Jingyu. He could not have any improper thoughts. The Holy King frowned, indifferently saying, "I will only bring the first 5 holy disciples. Xia Jingyu cannot follow." Xia Jingyu's face stiffened, her lips quivering. "Brother Yu, put me down." After this farewell they would be far apart. Perhaps she would never see Su Yu again in this lifetime. Xia Jingyu's heart clenched, her chest uncomfortable. She can go. Su Yu tossed out a phoenix-shaped jade pendant. This was the jade pendant Senior Qin had given him. With this jade pendant one could enter Fenghuang Valley. The Holy King glanced at it, slightly startled, and helplessly nodded. "All right, she can go." Xia Jingyu was pleasantly surprised. She hugged Su Yu's neck, her red lips exhaling, "Thank you, Brother Yu." Feeling the fragrance close to his ear, Su Yu smiled. Long Xiaoye gazed at Xia Jingyu's serene back, her eyes filled with wishes. "Jingyu, I wish you happiness." Before leaving, the Holy King entered the evil forest. Half a day later, he came out with 100 saint-grade spirit elixirs. Qiu Changjian, distribute one to everyone. From now on, the sanctuary will be disbanded. The Holy King made his final arrangements. The slayers in the evil forest had all been killed by him in half a day. Without the Holy King to oversee them, they would become a huge threat. Su Yu was shocked by the Holy King's strength. How vast was the evil forest! The number of hidden slayers was vast and secretive, but in just half a day they had all been killed. His level had already reached the realm of God, as described in the ancient texts. If you wish to stay in the sanctuary to train, you can, but you must not mention the Holy King's name again. The Holy King's voice was bleak. "Master." The 5 holy disciples bowed in unison, sending him off with tears in their eyes. The sanctuary of this generation was disbanded. Before leaving the sanctuary, the Holy King looked back at the sanctuary he had built with his own hands. His old eyes were filled with reluctance. But it was quickly replaced by absolute despair. Holy King, why are we heading to Fenghuang Valley? Su Yu asked along the way. Zhao Guang coldly rebuked, Junior Su. How can you doubt the Holy King's motives? As a holy disciple, how could he doubt the Holy King's actions? Now that things have come to this, you all need to know. The Holy King waved his hand, his voice bleak. I founded the sanctuary 100 years ago with the goal of gathering talents from all over the world. It was the same for Fenghuang Valley. The Holy King revealed a secret that no one knew about. Our two sides had once made an agreement to each nurture their own talents, and after 100 years, we would meet again for the final battle. The Holy King continued, after 100 years of trials and countless generations of talents, we finally nurtured the strongest generation. It was the same for Fenghuang Valley. After 100 years of trials, we nurtured the strongest generation of talents. Su Yu was stunned. Fenghuang Valley and the sanctuary had agreed to the battle of the century? No wonder the sanctuary had established martial arts training institutes and the holy meet in the alliance of the 9 empires. It was to select the talents of the world in preparation for the battle of the century. It was a battle that transcended empires and gathered the pinnacle of the continent, the battle of the century. But why did the Holy King and the Master of Fenghuang Valley agree to the battle of the century? The Holy King did not explain, and Su Yu did not ask. In this battle, you all must obtain a high ranking because this is the only chance in your life to break through to the Holy King level. What? Everyone was shocked. The only chance to break through to the Holy King level? The entire Xunyue continent was as big as 10 Earth. Yet in the past 100 years, there had never been a third Holy King. Without a doubt, the birth of a Holy King was extremely difficult. Chapter 90. Zhao Guang, Chun Liang, and Wang Jing, the 3 strongest holy disciples, trembled as they revealed unprecedented battle intent. In this battle, I, Zhao Guang, will be the king of the century. Zhao Guang, who had been silent all this while, let out a rare burst of sharp words. Across 100 years, this was the pinnacle of the continent's battle. Whether it was an ant or a dragon, it would all be decided in this battle. Chun Liang and Wang Jing were unwilling to admit defeat, their eyes glowing. Su Yu and Xia Jingyu could not help but feel emotional. The chance to change one's fate between an ant and a dragon was all in the battle of the century. In this battle, I, Su Yu, will fight against the world. Su Yu closed his eyes, about to open them. An earth-shattering aura appeared. In this world, if one could not become a supreme being, one would not be able to control one's fate. Su Yu had risen from humble beginnings. He had suffered the pain of his love being stolen, his family being exterminated, and the hatred of not being able to see Sienna again. Everything was because of his abilities. The weak had their fates controlled. The strong controlled the fates of others. Su Yu wanted to become a holy king, and from then on, control his own fate. Zhao Guang looked over coldly, lightly shaking his head. With me, Zhao Guang, here, you can only look up to me. In the battle of the century, everything will be clear. Su Yu retorted. Zhao Guang shook his head. You overestimate yourself. The battle of the century had roused everyone's battle intent. Who would become the king of the continent, the king of the century belonged to. A month later, in the hinterland of the Fenghuang Empire, in an uninhabited area, in a valley shrouded in mist, divine energy filled the air. In the valley, on the training grounds, a petite figure was panting, sweating profusely. Opposite her was a young man in his 20s, with an imposing appearance and a warm smile. Junior Sienner, your cultivation level has increased too quickly, your cultivation technique unable to keep up. Hence, your overall abilities are low, only equivalent to a level 8 lower tier. The young man retracted his fists, commenting with a smile, pointing out Sienner's shortcomings. Sienner wiped the sweat from her forehead, wrinkling her nose. I will catch up to Senior Lu Guang sooner or later. Lu Guang was gentle and elegant, silently smiling. He looked at Sienner, his gaze filled with love. The elders who were watching the battle smiled in relief. Xian is indeed worthy of the 9 Phoenix bloodline. With sufficient medicinal pellets, her cultivation speed is unimaginable. Now, she is at the peak of level 8 heaven. Although her foundation is not stable, she will be able to get rid of the hidden dangers with a little more tempering. Lu Guang is even better. His talent is unparalleled in the continent. Throughout the 100 years of history, no one can match him. In terms of strength, he has long surpassed us seniors, and is only below the Holy King. It is said that Lu Guang had challenged the Holy King before. Lu Guang, the strongest genius of Fenghuang Valley after 100 years. His strength had surpassed the peak of level 9 and stepped into the realm of half-step Holy King. In the entire Mystic Moon continent, apart from the 2 Holy Kings, no one was a match for him. Invincible in the world, it was admirable. Haha, have you realized that Lu Guang and Xian are a good match? Several elders looked over. The 2 of them stood side by side. One was elegant and handsome, while the other was delicate and exquisite. They were indeed a good match. You may not know this, but the Valley Master has decided to betroth Xian to Lu Guang after the 100-generation battle. They will get married today. Haha, they are a perfect match. But I heard that Qin Xian has a fiancé. Fiancé? Has he been approved by Fenghuang Valley? If not, what does he think he is? All the elders shook their heads coldly, smiling as they looked at the 2 about to get married. As for Su Yu, he was completely ignored. Dong, 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 the distant sound of a bell could be heard. Everyone's expression changed. The Valley Master has summoned us. Could it be that the Holy King from the Alliance of the 9 Empires has arrived? Lu Guang's elegant and handsome face was overflowing with coldness. His lips curled into a disdainful smile. I heard from Feiyun that Xian's fiancé is among them. Just in time. Fenghuang Valley Meeting Hall. Su Yu and the rest had finally arrived at Fenghuang Valley after a long journey. They sat quietly in the hall. The important members of the valley had all arrived. The master of Fenghuang Valley was an old woman over 100 years old. The 2 holy kings looked at each other after 100 years apart. Li Guang, you have aged in 100 years. The master of Fenghuang Valley sighed. The holy king's original name was Li Guang. Haha, Su Rong, you are no longer the same. Li Guang smiled. The 2 holy kings sighed. Time waited for no man. Suddenly, Su Rong's old eyes narrowed, fixing on a silver-haired, purple-robed young man sitting quietly with his eyes closed. You are Su Yu? Su Rong asked indifferently. The sanctuary disciples were shocked. Did the master of Fenghuang Valley know Su Yu? She had actually called out Su Yu. Su Yu slowly raised his eyes, replying with his eyes closed, yes. Su Rong's expression was indifferent. After a moment of silence she said, Your engagement with Xian is annulled. Even though her voice was calm, it had an unquestionable authority. It was as if she was a deity looking down on the earth, issuing orders. The peaceful hall suddenly became tense. The first thing the master of Fenghuang Valley did, when she met with the guests from the sanctuary, was annulling the engagement between Su Yu and Qin Xian. Su Yu's expression was calm. This scene was within his expectations. It was just that it came more swiftly and mercilessly. Why? Su Yu calmly asked. Su Rong retracted her gaze, looking at him in disdain. You are not worthy. Not worthy. Su Yu was not worthy of an engagement with Xian. Haha. My engagement with Xian was presided over by my father. The sun, moon, and heaven are my witnesses. It is not up to an outsider to say what to do, Su Yu said calmly. Su Rong's eyes were cold, her anger evident. Young man, I admire your courage in defying me. But I will only give you one chance. Swear to annul your engagement with Xian or die. Su Yu stood up slowly and leisurely. I will only say the same thing once. You don't have the right to die. Su Rong's old eyes were filled with killing intent. With a flick of her finger, a bolt of holy king energy crossed the air and attacked. Haha! An old voice filled with laughter could be heard. Li Guang sat quietly, gently opening the teacup in his hand and slowly taking a sip. With a flick of his pinky, he deflected the bolt of holy king energy. Su Rong, how dare you bully my disciple in front of me? Are you trying to embarrass me? The holy king calmly said. Even though his voice was calm, it was difficult to conceal his anger. He had brought his disciple here to participate in the battle of the century. The master of Fenghuang Valley had killed Su Yu in front of him. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Be it for his own pride or for Su Yu, he had to take action. Su Rong retracted her aura and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I acted on impulse. To be able to nurture such a rebellious person, your sanctuary is extraordinary." Hearing the harsh words, Li Guang smiled but did not speak. He had already witnessed Su Yu's courage. Glancing at Su Rong, Li Guang coldly said, "I don't care what grudge you have with my disciple. As long as he is my disciple, I will not allow you to bully him. Don't doubt my words." Su Rong's eyes were cold. She knew Li Guang's character and he would do what he said. "Fine. After the battle of the century, he will no longer be your disciple. If you still try to stop me then, don't blame me for not showing mercy." Su Rong saw Su Yu as a thorn in her side. Li Guang lightly grunted but did not comment. Su Yu's eyes were cold. The battle of the century had to reach a level where no one could interfere. Whether or not he was worthy of Siener would be decided with his fists. Whoosh, whoosh, more and more disciples entered. "Who is Su Yu?" a person with an imposing appearance asked coldly as he strode in. Hearing this, everyone in Fenghuang Valley, regardless of whether it was the elders or disciples, stood up to welcome him. Their reverence was second only to the holy king. "What is it?" Su Yu sat quietly, calmly asking. Whoosh, a pair of eyes shot over. Su Yu's silver hair trembled slightly. Just a gaze could materialize. This person's abilities were unfathomable. Lu Guang's cold eyes shot over, sizing up Su Yu. Silver hair, purple robe, eyes that were tightly shut, mysterious and noble. But abilities? Cancel the engagement, you are not worthy of Siener. Lu Guang stood with his hands behind his back, calmly ordering. Su Yu's lips curled into a smile, and then I'll marry her. Lu Guang's expression was calm, confident and at ease. "I am worthy of her, you are not. It's that simple, that cruel." "Worthy or not, it's not up to an outsider to judge," Su Yu calmly said. "As for you wanting to marry her, may I ask what are you?" Lu Guang's eyes flashed, arrogantly saying, "Remember my name, Lu Guang, the man who will marry Siener in a few days. As for you, pitiful creature in this cruel world, you've misunderstood. I'm not interested in your name. I'm just asking you, what are you?" Su Yu lightly shook his head. Hearing the insult, Lu Guang's gaze gradually turned cold. "You're looking for death." Su Yu calmly smiled. "Those who wanted me dead are all dead, only I am still alive." Hee. Lu Guang coldly laughed, his eyes filled with pity. "Before coming in, you should have asked around about who Lu Guang is. Your stupidity and ignorance will make you pay a heavy price." Who was Lu Guang? The strongest person below the Holy King, the legendary genius who had dominated the continent for 100 years. He was only one step away from the Holy King. Angering him was no different from angering the Holy King. The only difference was, angering the Holy King was incurable. If you angered him, only the Holy King could save you. With that, Lu Guang took big strides forward, coldly saying, "If I want you dead, even the heavens can forget about stopping me." Rumble. Lu Guang was 10 meters away, a wisp of vital energy condensed to the extreme, like a shadow. It was so fast that no one had time to react. Not good. The people from the sanctuary all cried out in alarm. But it was too late. Su Yu had no time to react. his chest was pierced on the spot. Both the Sanctuary and Fenghuang Valley were shocked. Lu Guang's attack had already surpassed the limits of a martial artist, with a hint of the demeanor of a holy king. The legendary genius of the continent, the strongest person below the holy king, was indeed terrifying. Creak. Su Yu, who had been pierced, turned into sparkling light and dissipated into the air. The crowd was shocked, looking over. There was no blood on the seat. It was just an illusion of Su Yu. Because it was too realistic, no one saw through it in a short period of time. At that moment, without anyone noticing, at the entrance of the hall, a silver-haired youth in purple stood with his hands behind his back, looking up at the sky. "Didn't you want to fight me? Why did you attack my afterimage?" Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and gasped. The seat was 100 meters away from the entrance of the hall. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu had teleported. How did he do it? Or was he human, or was he a ghost? Lu Guang's eyes were coldly turning back. Your speed is passable. Not just passable? His speed was extremely fast, as if he was teleporting. It was extremely difficult for anyone below the Holy King level to achieve this. Su Yu turned a deaf ear to him, stepping out of the hall. "Humph. You want to escape?" Lu Guang curled his lips in disdain. Su Yu walked straight out of the hall, not even looking back. "No, I just don't want to fight in the hall." "Why, are you afraid someone will stop us from fighting?" Lu Guang coldly grunted. Su Yu lightly shook his head. "No, no one will stop us, you will die." "But you can die, I don't want to hurt the innocent." The crowd in the hall gasped. Su Yu's arrogance was unprecedented. Let's not talk about where Su Yu's confidence in killing Lu Guang came from. Just Su Yu's statement that he did not want to hurt the innocent was enough to shock everyone. According to Su Yu's words, all the geniuses of the continent, who had gathered in the entire palace for 100 years, would lose their lives because of him. Only the Holy King's words would not seem so out of place. Su Yu was too arrogant. But a few people in the sanctuary frowned. When the sanctuary disciples thought Su Yu was arrogant, he had used an earth-shattering battle to silently tell everyone that he was merely stating the truth. Could it be that he was also stating the truth? If that was the case, how strong was Su Yu? Lu Guang laughed angrily. "Arrogant? Let me see how much capital you have to be so arrogant." Swoosh, Lu Guang flew away. Su Yu stood outside the hall, slowly turning around. A pair of eyes that had been tightly shut all this time shook slightly, finally opening slowly. For the first time, that pair of mysterious eyes opened. The next chapter was even more exciting. If you like this book, you can subscribe to continue reading. The later chapters will be even more exciting. After subscribing, you can join the subscription QQ group where I can chat often. If you do not know how to subscribe, you can enter another group where there will be relevant guidance. Chapter 91. If you liked this book, liked the characters, the feelings, and wanted to know who Su Yu was with in the end, how many adventures he had, and what kind of strong martial artist he became, you could continue reading after subscribing. In the future, there would be 2 chapters a day, at 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. Each chapter would cost 15 cents, which would be 30 cents a day. 30 cents, it was unknown how many people would still use horn coins. Perhaps there were very few places where it could be used. But here, 30 cents could buy an author's hard work for a day. If you liked this book, if you felt that you were a reader of this book, if you wanted to continue reading, please subscribe. This was the most powerful and most affirmative support for the author. If you did not know how to subscribe to a book and how to top up, you could look at the simple explanation below. Clicking on the V chapter, the system would prompt you to purchase it, and you would need to spend some book coins. Then, clicking to top up, the system would pop up a top-up interface. The minimum was 1,000 book coins, which could be redeemed with 10 QB. If you had a Q number or a Q point in your QQ account, you could redeem it directly. If you did not, you could just top up 10 QB into your QQ account. There were many ways to top up QB. Taobao and Alipay were the simplest, and there was even a small discount. However, it required a bank card. If you did not have a bank card, you could choose to top up with a QB card, mobile phone bill top-up, landline phone top-up, and so on. There was a very detailed explanation on the internet. Subscribing and top-up were actually very simple. It was not mysterious, nor was it complicated. If everyone subscribes enthusiastically, and the average subscription is over 5,000, I can consider doing it full-time. At that time, let alone 2 chapters, I could even write 10 chapters a day for all of you to see. If you still do not know how to top up and subscribe, enter this group 347249546. After you enter, you can privately chat with me and ask me for details. Chapter 92. Liu Guang's expression was cold as he flew to face him. He clenched his fist, and a faint fluorescent light flickered. Disdain and coldness revolved around his eyes. You can die in peace if you die in my hands. Liu Guang's murderous intent was revealed. Whoosh, Liu Guang flew over and attacked. His 5 fingers flickered with fluorescent light, scattering dangerous arcs of light. Chirp, however, at that moment, the power of 2 Saint Kings shot out from the palace and landed on the 2 of them. The attack that they had been waiting to unleash had been suppressed out of nowhere. Since you can't wait to fight, let the battle of the century begin now. Su Rong sighed indifferently. Li Guang nodded in agreement, his eyes filled with hope. After waiting for 100 years, the battle of the century has finally begun. The 2 holy kings walked out of the palace together. Under their lead, the group arrived at the forbidden area behind Fenghuang Valley. Even the people of Fenghuang Valley were unfamiliar with this place. Inside the forbidden area, immortal mist swirled around, making it difficult to distinguish what was real and what was fake. Li Guang and Su Rong stood in front of the celestial mist and sighed. The 2 of them looked at each other and unleashed their holy power at the same time. Open! The suffocating holy power turned into a huge sword and slashed down from the sky, cutting open a path that could fit 3 people. He could vaguely see the ancient ruins in the depths of the tunnel. All of you enter quickly, Li Guang shouted. The 5 holy disciples of the sanctuary and the 10 disciples of the Phoenix sect filed in. Combine! Both of them released their holy power, their faces pale. It looked like a simple attack, but it had used up all of their saint energy. The difficulty of opening the immortal mist was beyond common sense. According to the agreement, you and I are not allowed to enter. Let's wait for the result. Li Guang said calmly. A holy king's every word, action, and glance could affect a contestant's performance. For the sake of fairness, neither of them could spectate the match. Su Rong leaped onto the boulder and sat down cross-legged. She said calmly, "The first 5 places belong to the Phoenix Pavilion. It's too early to say anything before we reach the final step." Li Guang shook his head, his eyes filled with confidence. In his heart, Li Guang sighed, "Zhao Guang, don't let me down," inside the forbidden area. Everyone was dumbfounded. What he saw was not a ring, but a pile of ruins. The ancient palace collapsed and turned into dust. The rubble and bricks were left with the marks of time. Broken walls and eternal walls, broken dreams at dusk. Billowing space-time aura surged over. The area within a radius of 10 li was a scene of desolation. It was as if countless years ago, the ruins were extremely prosperous, but it collapsed in a single night. This place was their battlefield. On the ruins of 1,000 years of history, the war of the century would begin, and the continent would be contended for supremacy. Whether it was an ant or a dragon of the 9 heavens, it was all in this battle. In the center of the ruins stood a black puppet. Creak! The sound of metal rubbing against each other could be heard as the black puppet swayed. "I am the referee of the battle of the century. All of you listen to my orders." The black puppet spoke in a mechanical voice. A powerful aura that did not lose out to that of a holy king came surging over. Everyone was shocked. They immediately followed the instructions and headed to the center of the ruins. The competition is a taboo. You cannot kill anyone. Otherwise, you will die. The puppet was indifferent. The rules of the competition are a duel in the arena. The loser will be eliminated and sent out of the forbidden area. Everyone had experienced countless battles and the rules were more or less the same, so they weren't unfamiliar with it. The black puppet's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on the fifth strongest fighter in Fenghuang Valley, a cold-looking lady. Level 9 upper-tier disciples were stronger than the other 5 Level 9 upper-tier disciples of Fenghuang Valley. Step forward. The first stage will be the competition for the top 5. You will challenge the rest of the contestants. The loser will be eliminated, leaving only 5 contestants. The cold-looking lady nodded, her gaze sweeping across the 5 people from the sanctuary. Her thin lips formed a cruel smile. With such abilities, you dare participate in the battle of the century? I alone can destroy all of you. Lu Guang stood with his arms crossed, his gaze sweeping across Su Yu. Su Yu last, he said. Yes, Senior Lu Guang, the cold-looking lady said respectfully. She looked back at Su Yu, her eyes filled with pity. On account of Senior Lu Guang, you can stay until last. You have to thank Senior Lu Guang. Whoosh! The cold-looking lady flew to the center of the ruins, her expression mocking. Remember my name, Chun Ling. I will destroy all the disciples of Fenghuang Valley in the sanctuary. Arrogant! Chun Liang sneered. Chun Ling's cold gaze swept across the crowd, landing on the 4th-ranked holy disciple, Wang En. In terms of ranking, he was above Lu Kuan. His body was strong like a wild beast. Thump! Wang En took a step forward, his strong physique shaking the ground. Let the duel begin, the black puppet said expressionlessly. Wang An's expression was resolute as he attacked. Tiger steps, dragon steps. Wang An's bones crackled as if he was frying beans. His powerful blood energy formed a thin layer of blood on the surface of his body. From afar, Wang An looked like a man made of blood. His feet stepped forward like a tiger, yet also like a dragon. Every step he took was like a person's heart, suffocating and uncomfortable. Whoosh! Chun Ling's lips curled into a cold smile, 2 of her fingers forming a sword. Cloud-piercing sword. Creak! It was clearly a sword finger, but it was like a divine weapon. It was as if it could destroy the heavens and shake the world. This sword was swift, fierce and overbearing, stunning and unparalleled. Rumble! Wang An's strong body was instantly pierced through his shoulder, leaving a bloody hole. He screamed in pain as he flew backward, heavily injured. Slap! As he flew backward, his figure was surrounded by fog as he teleported out of the forbidden grounds. Outside the forbidden grounds, the holy king opened his eyes, his expression bewildered. A holy disciple was eliminated from the beginning? Zhao Guang, my life's wish is all on you. The holy king was nervous. In the forbidden grounds, the challenge continued. Chun Ling sneered and pointed. You, who is ranked 3rd, step forward. Wang Jing's petite figure flew forward and approached him. Compared to Wang En, Wang Jing was naturally better. However, Zhao Guang and Chun Liang were both serious. Chun Ling defeated her opponent in one move. Could Wang Jing take it? With a calm expression, Wang Jing formed a claw with her fingers. Heavenly silkworm eagle claw. Chirp! 5 piercing sounds overlapped, sharp and ear-piercing. Like an eagle fighting against the heavens, it swooped down, tearing the earth apart. Speed and power combined, the holy level cultivation technique had reached the peak. Good move! Chun Ling sneered. Cloud-piercing sword. Clang! The sword finger and the claw collided, creating a deafening sound. Puff! Wang Jing retreated dozens of steps, a mouthful of blood in her mouth. She was shocked. Only in direct combat did Wang Jing realize how terrifying the technique was. Lower-tier deity-level cultivation technique. Within the sanctuary, only Zhao Guang could comprehend a deity-level cultivation technique. But the fifth-ranked disciple of Fenghuang Valley could. Fenghuang Valley was too powerful. I've said it before, I alone can destroy all of you, Chen-Ling said coldly. Rumble, after 20 moves, Wang Jing was unwilling to admit defeat. She turned into a mist of light and teleported away. Sweeping her gaze across the two, Chen-Ling coldly said, "You, who is ranked second, step forward." Zhao Guang and Chen Liang felt deeply humiliated. A fifth-ranked disciple had the power to destroy all the holy disciples in the sanctuary. This was too much. Su Yu stood quietly, his silver hair fluttering in the wind. "Why don't you challenge me first?" Swoosh, Chen Liang glared at Su Yu, stepping forward. "With me here, do you think you have a chance? Enjoy the pity of your enemy and live on." Chen Liang glared at Chen Ling. "Enough of your arrogance. It's my turn to destroy your Fenghuang Valley. Mountain and River Whip." Chen Liang suddenly pulled out a black leather whip. It was the whip technique he specialized in. Rumble, as the whip lashed out, the air crackled. The ear-piercing sound of the whip exceeded the speed of sound. The whip arrived first, followed by the sound of the whip. Cloud-piercing sword. Chen Ling's expression turned serious. "Rumble!" Chen Ling cried out in pain, retreating a few steps. Her fingers were dripping with blood. That whip had shattered her vital energy defense, almost breaking her fingers. Chen Liang laughed in disdain. "You can't even withstand a single blow, a frog in a well. How dare you be so arrogant?" Chen Ling was furious. She was indeed too arrogant and had underestimated the sanctuary. But Chen Ling's trump card did not stop there. Broken sword in the sky. Chen Ling pulled out a soft sword from her waist. Creak. The sword glowed, radiating a cold light. The silver-white soft sword was like a long snake, swaying back and forth. "You overestimate yourself." Chen Liang laughed coldly, lashing out with his whip. But this time, the silver-white soft sword was like a soft snake, coiling around the long whip. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Following the long whip, the soft sword shot up. Chen Liang's wrist felt like it had been bitten by a venomous snake, cold and stinging. He subconsciously let go of the whip, and the sword pierced his shoulder. Puff! Chen Liang's shoulder was sliced open, fresh blood spurting out. He was sent flying, defeated on the spot. Outside, Li Guang suddenly stood up, his eyes filled with shock. 3 consecutive defeats. Fourth to second place had all been defeated by the same person. Within the forbidden grounds, Chen Ling was panting, her energy depleted. Chen Liang was harder to deal with than she had imagined. She had long since retracted her arrogance. Chen Liang was already difficult to deal with, what more the unfathomable Zhao Guang. Just as Chen Ling was about to challenge Zhao Guang, Lu Guang calmly said, "You are no match for him. Challenge Su Yu. Remember, teach him a lesson." Chen Ling laughed coldly, "Yes, senior." Looking at Su Yu with a mocking gaze, Chen Ling said sarcastically, "A toad lusting for swan meat. Xian'er is Senior Lu Guang's woman, you don't have to join in the fun. I'll give you a chance to understand the cruelty of this world. Su Yu, step forward." Su Yu's expression was calm, calmly taking a few steps to the center of the ruins. "Open your eyes." Chen Ling growled. Su Yu shook his head, calmly replying, "You are not worthy of me opening my eyes. Trying to be mysterious. Then I shall use my sword to slice open your eyes and show you the cruelty of this world." Chen Ling's eyes glowed, her attack merciless. Cloud-piercing sword. The soft sword in her hand glowed brightly. Chen Liang had been defeated by this sword. But Su Yu stood at his original position, his hands behind his back, not making a move, until the soft sword was about to pierce his face. Crack! A crisp sound could be heard, a translucent wall appearing out of thin air. The soft silver sword could not penetrate even an inch. Chen Ling's expression froze. "What is this?" Where the heart is, everything will turn to ice. Su Yu closed his eyes, calmly saying. His silver hair fluttered in the wind. Creak! Suddenly, his silver hair danced wildly, transforming into countless ice needles, abruptly flying out. Ah, pooh! The silver hair that had turned into ice, tough and cold, whipping Qin Ling's body. The silver hair pierced through her clothes, leaving behind countless bloody wounds. The powerful force sent her body flying. In an instant, she was sent flying with heavy injuries, vomiting blood, defeated. With a flash of light, Qin Ling was transported outside. The master of Fenghuang Valley slowly opened her eyes, calm. Qin Liang saw that it was Qin Ling, retreating with heavy injuries, and laughed coldly. Who asked you to be so arrogant? Do you know how powerful Senior Zhao is? Thinking back to Su Yu, Qin Liang felt indignant and envious, grunting. Su Yu was lucky. The man who stole his woman gave him a helping hand, allowing him to survive. What the hell? Bah! Qin Ling had a bitter expression, walking to the master of Fenghuang Valley, reporting the situation. Master, I am useless and lost to Su Yu. Him? How many moves did he lose? The master of Fenghuang Valley was a little surprised, calmly asking. One move. Qin Ling's face turned red. To be more accurate, Su Yu had not even moved. She had been defeated with just his silver hair fluttering. The master of Fenghuang Valley was shocked, defeating Qin Ling in one move? Qin Liang was in disbelief. How could it be him? And defeated in one move? Qin Liang's face turned green, then red. Under the mocking gazes of Wang Jing and Wang En, he covered his face and lowered his head. The forbidden grounds were dead silent. He defeated Qin Ling without moving at all? The Fenghuang Valley disciples were shocked. The Su Yu that no one thought highly of was actually this powerful? Su Yu wins. Next, it's your turn to challenge, the black puppet announced. Su Yu stood at his original position, his silver hair fluttering, his purple robe like a fairy. He closed his eyes, calmly surveying the scene. Only he and Zhao Guang were left in the sanctuary. Fenghuang Valley, excluding Qin Ling, had 9 people. Fenghuang Valley, there are too many people. Su Yu lightly sighed. Xian'er is waiting for me, so I'm sorry, I have to finish you all as soon as possible. The Fenghuang Valley disciples were furious, arrogant. Unless you want to challenge both of us at the same time? Both of us? No. Su Yu shook his head. Then don't boast so much. We do not even dare to challenge both of us at the same time. Who do you think you are? The Fenghuang Valley disciples were filled with disdain. But Su Yu's next words caused the entire place to sink into silence. You are all wrong, I am indeed not challenging both of you, but all 6 of you at the same time. This way, the top 5 competition will end in one go. Su Yu's calm words shocked the entire place. Out of the 11 people present, 6 had been defeated, leaving only 5. The first stage of the competition was thus completed. Other than the top 3, all disciples of Fenghuang Valley stepped forward. Su Yu stood with his hands behind his back, his silver hair and purple robes like an ancient king. Chapter 93. Su Yu, don't you dare humiliate us. The Fenghuang Valley disciples were furious. 1 against 6. This was intolerable. Each of them was a dragon among men. In the future, they would at least be at level 9 peak, standing at the peak of the martial path. But now, a single person was challenging all 6 of them at the same time. The humiliation was infuriating. Referee, we refuse to accept the challenge. They were proud and would not allow themselves to be humiliated like this. The puppet referee replied, You do not have the right to refuse. Either fight or leave the forbidden grounds. The 6 of them were furious. They clenched their teeth, glaring at Su Yu as they stepped into the center of the ruins. Ignorant child. If you wish to provoke us, I have to tell you that you have succeeded. I will use your blood and tears to avenge your humiliation. With 6 people working together, who would dare to oppose them? Su Yu would definitely lose. Feeling the gazes of the six, Su Yu creased his brows. Humiliation? Don't tell me that you've never thought that I'm just talking about an ordinary matter? I alone am enough to fight the six of you. The six were furious. You are going too far. Don't blame us for being merciless if you want to die. Attack together. Grant him his wish. Whoosh, 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 one person appeared in each of the six directions. Weapons, holy decrees, top saint-level techniques, and even the fourth-ranked disciple used deity-level technique. Their powerful attacks shook the ruins. The celestial fog trembled and the ruins rumbled. The six ultimate attacks of the martial path struck the purple-robed divine king, who stood silently in the ancient ruins. Whoosh! At this moment, the air suddenly turned cold. The cold wind howled, the clouds icy cold. It was as if spring had suddenly turned into winter. Rustle, heavy snowflakes fell from the sky, hidden in the vast celestial fog, dreamy and blurry. The Feng Wang Pavilion disciples were shocked. Snow? Snow was pure and crystal clear, reflecting the world's purest, yet coldest side. Crack! The snowflakes in the sky shattered, turning into a bone-chilling liquid that poured down. Cold rain drifted down, splashing in all directions, landing on everyone's clothes. Buzz, the cold rain of the Golden Age, a feast of ice and snow, bloomed. Outside the forbidden area, Chen Ling raised her head to look at the sky, stunned. Snow? Feng Wang Valley is located at the southern tip of the continent. It is currently summer. Even though the forbidden area is cool, it should not be snowing. The master of Feng Wang Valley was shocked. She looked at Li Guang and said faintly, "If I remember correctly, you have a deity-level technique called Icy Heart Core. Once you have mastered it, you will be able to condense your ice blood and transform your heart into an icy heart core. Where the heart is, all things will turn into ice. Is this the ultimate meaning of this deity tier cultivation method?" Li Guang looked up at the sky full of snowflakes, a hint of relief on his face. So that's how it is. As expected, Su Yu's heart had already condensed into the icy heart core. Chun Liang, Wang Jing, and Wang An's expressions changed drastically. Wang Jing recalled, "Senior brothers and junior brothers, if I remember correctly, this is the first time it snowed in our sanctuary." The eyes of the three flickered with bewilderment as they thought of one person at the same time. Su Yu. Could it be that the snow of heaven and earth fell because of him? At this moment, Kacha, the misty light flickered. 6 crystalline figures suddenly fell out of the misty light. There were so many of them that they formed a black mass. Su Rong, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly stood up. Upon closer inspection, her pupils dilated. Li Guang looked over and was also shocked. 6 people teleported away at the same time? What happened inside? Did you break the rules and get kicked out of the forbidden area? Su Rong was furious. Of the 10 disciples of Feng Wang Valley, excluding Chen Ling, who had been defeated by Su Yu, 6 of them had been teleported away at once. 7 out of the 10 disciples were gone in an instant. Could it be that something had happened in the forbidden area? The ice in the 6 of them melted, their bodies cold and trembling. What was even colder was the fear in their hearts. For a moment they thought they were already dead. If this was a life and death battle, the moment they condensed their ice would have been enough for Su Yu to kill them 10 times over. At this moment, they finally remembered what Su Yu had said. It was not that Su Yu was insulting them, but the 6 of them were no match for Su Yu. Just how strong was that silver-haired, purple-robed youth? Hearing Su Rong's furious rebuke, the 4th-ranked disciple bitterly said, "We were all defeated. Su Yu fought all 6 of us alone, and we were defeated at the same time." What? Su Rong's body trembled as she took a step back. Her eyes were shaking. 1 against 6 from Feng Wang Valley, killed at the same time. Chun Liang, Wang Jing, and Wang An gasped. Su Yu was actually this powerful? Was he human, or was he a ghost? What kind of shocking change had happened to his body after experiencing a life-and-death crisis? One person defeating 6 at the same time, how domineering was that? To think that such a talent had appeared in the sanctuary. Thinking back to that day, Su Yu had risked his life to fight for an opportunity for himself. Li Guang was glad that he did not kill all of them that day. Otherwise, such a talent would have been buried in dust. The forbidden area was deathly silent. Snowflakes fell on the shoulders of the crowd. Everything was quiet, as if the previous scene had never happened. Su Yu had defeated 6 people alone. Until the black puppet announced, Su Yu wins. The competition of the top 5 is over. The final stage, the competition of the top 5. The black puppet calmly announced. The rules of the competition state that each person has 2 chances to be defeated. Hence, the first defeat will not send you out. The rules of the competition forbid killing. The final stage had come faster than expected. It was all thanks to Su Yu. The black puppet casually pointed at Zhao Guang. You step forward. Challenge the remaining 4. Zhao Guang's expression changed, his eyes burning with battle intent as he shot towards Su Yu. 1 against 6. How arrogant and heroic was this battle! But this battle was not won by the number 1 disciple of the sanctuary, Zhao Guang. It was won by the rising star of the generation, Su Yu. The undefeated figure of the purple-robed divine king shocked Zhao Guang for the first time. He could not deny that he had underestimated Su Yu. You are a formidable opponent in my heart. You have the right to fight me for the top spot in the world. I look forward to fighting you. Zhao Guang stared at Su Yu, smiling. Su Yu calmly smiled, preparing to take a step forward. But now, the person I want to challenge is not you. It's him. Zhao Guang's gaze shifted, his finger pointing at Lu Guang. The person he wanted to challenge was Yao Guang. Yao Guang lightly creased his brows. You are not worthy to be my enemy. Zhao Guang coldly said, Whether I am worthy or not, we will only know after we fight. But before I challenge you, I need to get rid of the trash. You step forward. Zhao Guang pointed at the 3rd-ranked disciple of Fenghuang Valley, a level 9 peak fighter. Lu Guang coldly grunted, Jiang Xian, do not hold back. Do not let those who are not worthy to fight me come. Jiang Xian was beautiful and adorable, sticking out her tongue and blinking her large eyes. I know, Senior Lu Guang. Whoosh, Jiang Xian stepped forward, her sweet and adorable smile revealing her charming dimples. Hee hee, big brother, I am afraid of pain. You have to take pity on me. You have 3 breaths time to be long-winded. Zhao Guang did not have the slightest bit of tenderness for the fairer sex. Jiang Xian wrinkled her nose. Humph! What a killjoy! I hate you! Chirp! Just as Jiang Xian spat out the last syllable, a ray of black light suddenly shot out from her red lips. The swiftness of his movements and the abruptness of his attack caught everyone off guard. Insignificant skill. Zhao Guang's expression was calm, as if he would not be affected even if Mount Tai collapsed. He tilted his head slightly, and the black light brushed past his shoulder. The 3rd-ranked girl was a rare martial artist who was proficient in hidden weapons. I am so angry! Jiang Xian exclaimed, stomping her foot. But with a simple stomp, a transparent light shot out from the sole of her shoe. Whoosh, it stuck close to the ground, transparent and formless, hard to catch. Zhao Guang's expression was calm as he looked at Jiang Xian. He lifted the tip of his foot, and at a certain moment, he suddenly stomped down. Under Zhao Guang's foot, a small transparent glass sword was crushed. Stupid brother, I am so angry! Jiang Xian flew forward. A glance, a finger, a strand of hair were all hidden weapons that could not be defended against. However, Zhao Guang's face was cold and he was at ease. He did not even reveal half of his abilities. Rumble, half a cup of tea's time. Zhao Guang took advantage of Jiang Xian's weakness and hit her shoulder. Ah, stupid brother, I hate you. Jiang Xian was furious. This was the first time she had been defeated. With a smile, Zhao Guang sighed. I grew up in the forest, and learned survival skills from wild beasts. Mere hidden weapons cannot harm me. Zhao Guang's life was strange. He had been abandoned in the forest when he was young, and was taken away by the beast. He had learned survival skills from the beasts, and in the harsh environment, his reaction speed was extremely fast. Hidden weapons were not as effective against him as a direct attack. You step forward. Zhao Guang's breath was long, and he pointed at the second-ranked Fenghuang Valley disciple. Yao Guang snorted. Meng Lang, Jiang Xin is not good enough. Don't disappoint me. Meng Lang was like his name. He was thin and weak, like a wolf. His eyes were sinister and deep, and his lips were cold. Senior Lu Guang, don't worry. Jiang Xin does not even have the courage to fight with me. It is not surprising that she lost. Jiang Xin stomped her foot angrily, but did not refute. In front of Meng Lang, she indeed did not have the courage to fight. He was too strong. Taking a step forward, Meng Lang looked at Zhao Guang, licked his lips and said darkly, "The number one genius of the heavenly sanctuary, I think it is just an undeserved reputation. Your ability is only average." Zhao Guang's expression was indifferent. "Try it and you will know." Whoosh, Meng Lang's eyes turned cold like a wild wolf. With a tap of his toes, he turned into a shadow, circling around Zhao Guang. In an instant, Zhao Guang was surrounded by blurry shadows. The real Meng Lang could no longer be distinguished. "Kiss of the hungry wolf!" Meng Lang shouted. Rumble. Meng Lang's fists were pressed against his lower jaw, shaped like a pair of fangs. In an instant, countless shadows followed the same action, flying towards Zhao Guang. It was difficult to distinguish the real from the hundreds of fists. Deity-level technique, great success. Zhao Guang spat out these 6 words. Meng Lang laughed coldly. You should be proud to lose to the kiss of the hungry wolf. This move was personally taught by the Holy King. Rumble, countless shadows suddenly shrunk, surrounding Zhao Guang in the center. Hundreds of fists attacked at the same time. Every punch contained the power to shatter mountains and rivers, instantly inflicting serious injuries. However, in an instant, Meng Lang screamed in pain, retreating a few steps, his face filled with shock. Zhao Guang slowly retracted his fists, his expression calm. Sorry, I have also cultivated a deity-level technique, and great success! Meng Lang gasped. There was actually someone in the sanctuary who cultivated a deity-level technique. He had to admit that he had underestimated the sanctuary. Humph! Both deity-level techniques, let's see who is more skilled. Meng Lang shouted. Rumble, the 2 figures battled, exchanging blows. Loud rumbles resounded throughout the universe. Debris flew everywhere and immortal mist flowed. The battle between the 2 was evenly matched. Crackle, an hour passed. Meng Lang's expression was solemn. His qi and blood were pale, showing signs of weakness. On the other hand, Zhao Guang's breathing was steady. Even after such an intense battle, his stamina was still strong. It's over. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Guang leisurely raised his finger. In an instant, it was as if he had become another person. Shifting shadows. Creak. Zhao Guang disappeared from his original position. When he reappeared, he was behind Meng Lang. The time difference between before and after was negligible, as if he had teleported. Meng Lang did not even have time to react before he was struck in the back. Ah, pooh! Meng Lang had been defeated. With a shocked expression, Meng Lang exclaimed, another deity-level technique, a deity-level technique to comprehend speed. A person cultivating 2 deity-level techniques at the same time, how shocking was that? Suyu was shocked. The 2 deity-level techniques that Zhao Guang had used were not from the 3 books in the Sanctuary Divine Pavilion. The Holy King must have given it to him privately. In terms of power, it might even be stronger than the 3 books. Yao Guang, you are the only one left. Zhao Guang stood with his hands behind his back, continuously defeating his opponent. His aura was imposing, his eyes burning with battle intent as he shot toward Yao Guang. Yao Guang took a step forward, his lips curving into a mocking smile. "You have some ability." Zhao Guang was not moved by the mockery, his expression calm. "You are strong, but the king of the century belongs to me, Zhao Guang. You overestimate yourself." Yao Guang shook his head. "Strength and weakness are determined by strength, not arrogance," Zhao Guang said calmly. Lu Guang laughed arrogantly. "That is the way you mortals test it. To me, anyone below the Holy King is an ant. No one is my match." Zhao Guang did not speak. He suddenly attacked, using his actions to prove the strength of the king of the century. "You are not worthy to fight me." Lu Guang shook his head. Zhao Guang laughed angrily. "Lu Guang, are the people of Fenghuang Valley really so arrogant?" "I am not arrogant, it is just that you do not understand my level." Lu Guang's expression was cold. "Then what do you think is worthy of fighting someone as arrogant as you?" Zhao Guang laughed angrily. He had never been looked down upon like this was the first time in his life. Lu Guang scanned the four of them, calmly saying, "Jiang Xian, Meng Lang, the two of you, attack me together with Zhao Guang." He was going to fight 1 against 3. It was different from Su Yu's 1 against 6. Those 6 people were the weakest in Fenghuang Valley. But now they were the number 1 holy disciple of the sanctuary, the top 3 disciples of Fenghuang Valley. The 3 of them were far more powerful than the other 6. To a certain extent, Lu Guang's challenge was even more shocking and subversive. Zhao Guang was furious. "Lu Guang, do you think you are a god?" However, a solemn voice interrupted his words. Whoosh, whoosh, Jiang Xian and Meng Lang landed beside Zhao Guang. Meng Lang's expression was unprecedentedly serious. "He is a godlike genius." Jiang Xian's sweet little face was filled with astonishment as she clenched her hands tightly. "I only hope that the 3 of us can join hands and withstand a single strike from senior brother Lu Guang. That way, I won't have any regrets in the battle of the century." Zhao Guang was shocked. Lu Guang was a godlike existence in the eyes of the disciples of Fenghuang Valley? Sweeping his gaze across Su Yu, Zhao Guang grunted. "What, are you afraid of Junior Su and do not dare to fight him, so you excluded him?" Lu Guang laughed calmly. "Afraid of him? No, I just want him to have a chance to see the difference between us. The difference between a dragon and a worm. His fiancée is destined to be my woman," Lu Guang said confidently. Su Yu's expression was calm, a smile on his lips. "Lu Guang, if you have time to waste, end the battle quickly. You and I will fight. Who is the dragon and who is the worm? You might have a new understanding, you." Lu Guang sneered. However, Su Yu interrupted him. "Don't waste my time. If you want to fight, end it quickly." Su Yu frowned. Suddenly, Su Yu's brows twitched, a smile on his face. His tightly shut eyes trembled, as if he was about to open them. His lips parted slightly as he spoke. I alone will fight all of you. I, Su Yu, will end the battle of the century. 1 person against all." His words reverberated throughout the ancient ruins, like the voice of a divine king, lasting for a long time. This chapter of 4,000 words was considered a big chapter. In the future, he would update a chapter at 8 in the morning and another at 8 at night, 2 chapters a day. "I'm a cripple, writing 1,000 words an hour, and that's after work." Chapter 94. Flowing Light laughed angrily. In the Moon God continent, only he could look down on others, but no one could look down on him. Su Yu was the first. "The one to end the battle of the century is not you, but I, Lu Guang." Lu Guang stood proudly. He looked at Zhao Guang and the other 2 and said, "Each of you only has 1 chance to attack." Jiang Xian's eyes narrowed. 9 rays of black light shot out from her sleeves. Whoosh, 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 Lu Guang stood where he was, with a faint smile on his lips. The tip of his toes lightly touched the ground of the ruins. However, it was just a light touch, but it was as if it could destroy heaven and earth. Rumble, bang, within a 3-meter radius of flowing light, the ancient ruins that had settled down exploded with a loud bang. Dust filled the sky and gravel flew everywhere. A vortex of dust and gravel merged with a huge wave and soared into the sky. Ding ding ding, the 9 rays of black light were all blocked by the huge waves. At the same time, Liu Guang stretched out a finger and pointed at a pebble. Whoosh! Jiang Xian didn't even have time to react before she was struck by the rubble. The mist of light flickered, and she, who had been defeated twice, was teleported away. The dust dissipated, and the gravel fell. Amidst the ruins, in the desolated land, Lu Guang stood with his hands behind his back, like an invincible legend. Meng Lang fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Hungry wolf's kiss. Whoosh! The afterimage was like a dream, and it was hard to tell if it was real or not. Lu Guang, who was surrounded, had a leisurely smile on his lips as he stood with his hands behind his back. Suddenly, countless afterimages came from all directions like a boundless flood. It looked like it was about to devour the flowing light. With a soft sound, the afterimages in the sky instantly vanished. There was only one real figure, fixed a meter away from flowing light. A wisp of zhenqi condensed into a sword and pressed against Meng Lang's forehead. Meng Lang was defeated. The mist of light flashed as he was teleported out of the forbidden grounds. From the beginning to the end, Lu Guang stood calmly with his hands behind his back, and did not make a move. Zhao Guang sucked in a breath of cold air. True Qi has taken form. You've touched the level of a holy king. Holy King Li Guang once sighed. The mystic moon continent had limited resources and was unable to nurture a new generation of holy kings. However, flowing light defied the heavens and broke the shackles of heaven and earth, touching upon the level of a holy king. Liu Guang smiled without saying a word, a hint of mockery in his eyes. The meaning was clear, as if it was mocking him. Zhao Guang was the only one left. His strength was like an insurmountable mountain, shaking Zhao Guang's heart. But Zhao Guang had an undying fighting heart and would not give up so easily. 3 heads, 6 arms. Zhao Guang's palms and legs moved according to a special rhythm, his figure moving at high speed. In an instant, it was as if it had grown 2 more heads and 4 more arms. All directions were within the range of the attack. Meng Lang was defeated by this move. Take this! Zhao Guang bellowed. He was like a wild beast in the forest, his power like thunder. Boom! The 2 of them finally clashed. The sky shook violently and dust filled the air. When the dust settled, a shocking scene appeared. Liu Guang sneered and raised a finger. Zhao Guang was frozen 3 meters away, unable to advance even an inch with his 3 heads and 6 arms. True Qi materialized into an ice wall, blocking Zhao Guang's attack. 1 finger was enough to suppress Zhao Guang. Gritting his teeth, Zhao Guang growled, shifting shadows. Whoosh! Zhao Guang disappeared into thin air and suddenly teleported behind Lu Guang. At this moment, Liu Guang did not even have the slightest time to react. Rumble! Zhao Guang's 6 arms attacked at the same time. Creak! Lu Guang was instantly killed. However, just as Zhao Guang's joy appeared, it completely froze. His fists did not feel like he was hitting anything, instead, it felt like he was hitting air. What made his body stiffen even more was that a mocking voice came from behind him, right next to his ear. Is it fun to attack my afterimage? At the same time, a finger touched his back. Puff! Zhao Guang felt as if he was being crushed by a mountain. He spat out a mouthful of blood, tumbling in the air before falling to the ground. So fast! Zhao Guang's pupils dilated. Compared to his deity-level technique, shifting shadows, it was even faster. You are not the only one who has cultivated 2 deity-level technique. Lu Guang smiled. The puppet referee announced, "Winner, Lu Guang." "Next, Lu Guang, you will be the one to challenge," the puppet said. Lu Guang stood in the middle of the ruins, his gaze lightly drifting over Suyu. "I've let you linger at death's door until now. I can finally let you understand the difference between you and me with my own hands. But before that, small fries leave." Creak, without turning his head, Lu Guang flicked his finger behind him. Zhao Guang was caught off guard, his shoulder armor pierced. Defeated twice, the fog of light surged forth, sending the unwilling Zhao Guang away. Outside the forbidden grounds, Zhao Guang knelt on one knee, ashamed. "Disciple is useless, please punish me, master." Li Guang was stunned for a long time, his old eyes gradually dimming. "Get up. Maybe this is fate. My dream of 100 years has yet to be fulfilled." Li Guang's words were filled with sorrow. In that instant, he seemed to have aged 100 years, like an old man who had lost all signs of life, lifeless. His heart was dead. Su Rong had a look of pity, shaking her head. "Li Guang, why are you so stubborn? Is she really worth all this?" Li Guang closed his eyes, his old body trembling. He was like a man who had waited for 100 years, only to have his hopes dashed overnight. "Master!" The holy disciples could feel the holy king's sorrow, kneeling on the ground. Li Guang forced a smile. "I'm fine." Zhao Guang's heart was filled with sorrow. Only he knew that the holy king had been waiting for one wish his entire life. It was a wish that cost him 100 years, a lifetime. He had gone from a young man to a frail old man for 100 years, all because of this wish. But in the end, Zhao Guang was unable to fulfill it for him. Self-blame and remorse filled his heart. Suddenly, a figure appeared in his mind. Zhao Guang was uncertain. "Master, even though I've lost, there's still Junior Su. He might have a sliver of hope." "Suyu?" Li Guang muttered the name. After a moment, he shook his head and laughed. "He can't, within the forbidden grounds." Only 2 people were left in the ruins. A silver-haired man in purple robes had risen from humble beginnings, like a comet piercing through time and space. A legendary genius had defied the heavens, approaching the level of the Holy King, standing proudly at the peak of the world. The battle of the ages belonged to them. "Lowly ant, I've shown you enough pity. Next, it's time to see the difference in our abilities." Lu Guang stood with his hands behind his back, his robes fluttering in the wind. His vital energy took form, forming 10 long swords that revolved around him. Once he got close, he would be pierced by 10,000 swords. Whoosh! Lu Guang's shadow flashed, disappearing into thin air. The next moment, he reappeared within 10 feet of Su Yu. 10 swords of vital energy aimed to strangle Su Yu. Su Yu stood with his hands behind his back, indifferent as he lightly shouted, "Icy heart core!" Thump, thump, in his chest, a heart formed from ice suddenly beat. Deity-level cultivation technique, Icy Heart Core, top class. His heart had transformed into an ice aperture exquisite heart. Wherever his heart went, all things would turn into ice. Crack! The water vapor in the air condensed into frost. With a thought, the frost turned into an ice wall. Crack! The vital energy swords shattered the ice wall, blocking for a moment. All that was left was an afterimage as it tried to strangle Su Yu. "Humph! Consider yourself fast." Lu Guang coldly snorted, his gaze sweeping the surroundings. However, his pupils shrank slightly. He actually did not notice Su Yu's figure. At this moment, snowflakes fell from above, accompanied by an indifferent voice. "Looking for me?" Looking up, Su Yu was floating in the air with his hands behind his back. Purple robes and silver hair, his body floating in the air, no different from a deity. Only a holy king could fly in the air. Top class of floating light shadow could temporarily fly in the air. Lu Guang was shocked, then coldly snorted, "You're just relying on a cultivation technique. Let me show you what true flying in the air is." Whoosh, behind Lu Guang, vital energy formed a pair of wings, flapping as he floated in the air. The key to Holy King's ability to fly in the air was the transformation of vital energy. Lu Guang was close to the level of a Holy King. Simply transforming vital energy into wings could barely do it. Looking at each other, Lu Guang sneered, relying on a cultivation technique. You do have some skill. But next, I'll show you what a true deity-level cultivation technique is, top class. Divine Eagle Claw. Lu Guang growled. His 5 fingers formed a claw, a faint glow surrounding his fingers. Slashing down from the sky, the sharp eagle claws swooped down like an eagle from the 9th heaven. Rumble. The ruins beneath his feet rumbled, rubble and debris splashing everywhere. 5 1-meter-deep grooves were carved into the ground. Just a trace of the aftershock had such power. The power of a deity-level cultivation technique at top class was vast and mighty. Su Yu's expression was calm, vital energy released from his hands, condensing into an icy sword of vital energy in his mind. With a light wave of his wrist, he slashed down from the sky. Rumble. The vital energy sword shattered, the aftershock splashing everywhere. Su Yu took 10 steps back, a metallic taste in his throat. Lu Guang stood still, calm and unruffled. We're both deity-level cultivation techniques at top class, but yours is merely a support type. How can it compare to my offensive type? Su Yu was no match for Lu Guang, not because the icy heart core was not powerful enough. It was because the difference in cultivation levels was too great. Su Yu was only level 8 peak, but Lu Guang was level 9 peak. Both deity-level cultivation techniques at top class, Su Yu was naturally inferior. Being the king of the century is my honor. After this battle, I will definitely become the dragon of the 9th heaven, and you will be reduced to an ant for the rest of your life. Lu Guang had a faint mocking smile. Don't worry, I will take good care of Sienna for you. Her heart and body belong to me, Lu Guang. With a playful smile, Lu Guang mocked. I'm afraid Sienna does not know that she is about to become my woman. She is still foolishly calling me Senior Lu Guang, but in a few days, she will become a toy for me to conquer. Only a woman with the bloodline of the 9 phoenixes like her is worthy of my conquest. So, give up. I, Lu Guang, will take your woman for you. Whoosh, Lu Guang disappeared once again. When he reappeared, he had teleported in front of Su Yu. Claw of the Divine Eagle. An earth-shattering strike tore Su Yu apart. Su Yu's expression was calm, but within the calmness was a murderous intent. It was like the calm before the storm. Sienna was his fiancée, the woman he swore to protect for the rest of his life. No one could blaspheme her. Even if it was heaven, earth, or God. Blasphemers had to die. You should not have insulted her. Su Yu's voice was calm, but there was indifference hidden within the calmness. The indifference instantly froze the world. His hands, which had been clasped behind his back, were lowered for the first time. A purple lotus appeared in his right palm. The dazzling purple light reflected off Su Yu's icy expression. The petals were exquisite, the veins clear and lifelike. However, wisps of destructive aura that caused people's hearts to palpitate swept out. That energy caused Lu Guang's sinister smile to gradually stiffen, his scalp numb. His heart suddenly stopped beating, as if it had missed a beat. At this moment, he realized that he might have said the last thing he should have said in his life. I want you, dead, Su Yu calmly said, taking a light step forward. This step seemed to cross heaven and earth, time and space, and all obstacles in the world. Chapter 95. The purple lotus in his palm spun in the air. It was beautiful and enchanting. The purple lotus in his hand clashed with Lu Guang's destructive claw. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound reverberated throughout the forbidden grounds, shaking the skies of Feng Huang Valley. Outside the forbidden grounds, the disciples of Feng Huang Valley felt the ground tremble and the buildings tremble. The combined power of two Saint Kings could only break through the celestial fog. At this moment, it was circulating rapidly. The sound that shook the heavens shook the earth. Whoosh, Li Guang and Su Rong's expressions changed. Zhao Guang, Chun Ling, and the other disciples were shocked. Su Rong's old face was filled with shock. This is a spirit-level technique. Spirit level? Both the Sanctuary Holy Disciples and the Feng Wang Valley Disciples were confused. Saint-level techniques were the pinnacle of martial art. They had served the Holy King before and knew that there was a deity-level technique above the saint level. But what was a spirit-level technique? Could it be that a deity-level technique was not the end of martial arts? Li Guang's expression was serious, unable to hide the shock in his eyes. It's a spirit-level technique. This is an emergency, the duel must be stopped. You and I must enter quickly. Su Rong was worried for Lu Guang. She immediately fought with the Holy King, expending all her holy energy to reopen the passage. Whoosh, whoosh. The two Holy Kings, the Holy Disciples, and the Feng Wang Valley Disciples all rushed in. However, what greeted their eyes was a shocking scene. Above the ruins was a scene of desolation. A 3-meter-wide crater had been blasted into the ground. The huge shockwave radiated in all directions, sending dust flying 10 meters into the air. The broken walls suffered devastating damage. Wisps of purple lightning flames burned the edge of the crater. Smoke and dust filled the air, the smell of burnt flesh filling the air. At the bottom of the crater, the handsome and elegant Lu Guang was covered in blood, looking battered and exhausted. His clothes had been burnt to ashes by the lightning flames. His once confident and invincible face was now covered in blood. His nostrils, mouth, and eyes were all bleeding. His long hair and eyebrows were all burnt. His features were twisted in pain, his eyes constricted in fear as he stared at Su Yu. As for Su Yu, he stood quietly above the deep pit. His calm expression did not change. Only his purple robe and silver hair fluttered like an immortal. That strike was like the strike of an immortal god. You, what kind of skill is that? Lu Guang's heart trembled. If he did not have the divine eagle's claw, which was at the great perfection of the deity-level technique, to resist for a moment, that blow was enough to completely destroy him. The purple lotus was exquisite and resplendent. However, after the collision, the sky was filled with purple thunder and fire, as if heavenly thunder had struck. This terrifying strike had surpassed the level of a martial artist. His intuition told him that even the best god-rank cultivation technique didn't possess such might. Su Yu shook his head calmly. A dead man doesn't need to know. Whoosh, Su Yu's shadow disappeared. He teleported above Lu Guang's head and stepped on his chest. Death was coming. For the first time in his life, he felt death. No matter how much he claimed to be a legendary genius, he still had to lower his noble head before death. No, don't kill me. I'm sorry. Lu Guang felt humiliated. His eyes flickered, and his heart was filled with fear and regret. If he had known that insulting Xiener would result in such a terrifying attack from Su Yu, he wouldn't have acted so insolently. At the very least, it wouldn't be too late to say such words after he truly made Xiener his woman. Su Yu calmly shook his head. Your eyes are flickering, and your words don't match your heart. You have no remorse. Die. Boom, vital energy permeated his body. Under the icy heart core, an ice thorn formed and pierced toward Lu Guang's chest. Stop! Su Rong, who had entered the valley and witnessed everything in shock, cried out in alarm. The crowd was equally shocked. The legendary genius, Lu Guang, who was close to the level of a holy king, was actually being stepped on by Su Yu. His life and death were all within Su Yu's control. At this moment, the silver-haired, purple-robed figure was like an invincible legend amidst the snowflakes. His silver hair fluttered, blocking the side of Su Yu's face. However, it could not block his unrepentant killing intent. You separated me and Sienna just to give her to this scum to be defiled? You really are a good grandmother. Su Yu's cold voice shook the celestial fog and the hearts of people. No one knew what kind of insults Lu Guang had uttered. However, they could imagine that he had deeply humiliated Sienna. As a result, he had provoked Su Yu into revealing his shocking killing intent. Su Yu, I order you to let him go or die. The master of Feng Wang Valley's aged eyes were filled with killing intent. In reality, she was hesitating, unsure if she should kill Su Yu. Su Yu was even more talented than Lu Guang. How could she kill such an outstanding talent so easily? Hee. Su Yu stepped on Lu Guang's head and laughed. This is the second time you've tried to kill me. Since I have to die, why should I spare his life? Die. Su Yu's ice thorn suddenly pierced downward. Lu Guang's face was as red as a pig's liver. He was completely regretful. If he had known this would happen, he would not have provoked the terrifying Su Yu, even if it meant losing face. Stop. Your engagement with Sienna, I don't care anymore. Let him go immediately. In a moment of desperation, the master of Feng Wang Valley put down her pride in order to save Lu Guang's life. However, Su Yu did not stop. He laughed coldly. You have no right to interfere with my Sienna's engagement. Don't treat this as charity. Su Yu, Sienna is yours. I was wrong. I will not fight for her, please let me go. In the face of life and death, Lu Guang's body trembled. His voice was shrill, like a woman's due to fear. His eyes were filled with tears of fear. His spirit had completely collapsed. Su Yu's terrifying figure was imprinted in his soul. Su Yu was cold and merciless. His killing intent did not waver. The ice thorn pierced into the flesh of Lu Guang's chest. You're asking for death. Su Rong was furious. She was, after all, a holy king. She was a legend in the world, invincible. Her abilities could not be described with common sense. Su Yu's ice thorn had not fully pierced through when Su Rong teleported over. She was right in front of Su Yu and furiously slapped Su Yu's head. Before Lu Guang died, Su Yu would die first. Scram! I want to kill him, don't even think of stopping me. Su Yu growled. Su Rong's killing intent was revealed. Junior, die. In this moment of life and death, Su Yu's heart would not die even if he killed Lu Guang. In this world, who could survive a blow from a holy king? An unprecedented crisis loomed over Su Yu. The swift and fierce palm energy set off a terrifying gale. Su Yu was sent flying into the air. That palm did not have the slightest intention of stopping. Instead, it seized the opportunity to kill Su Yu, who was flying backward. The fury of the Holy King could cause the mountains and rivers to bleed. As he flew, Su Yu's silver hair danced wildly in the air. His face was covered, but it could not hide his unrepentant killing intent. It also could not hide those eyes that were always tightly shut. Old dog, you forced me to do this. Su Yu's brows were filled with killing intent. First, she had arrogantly forced him to break off the engagement, then threatened to kill him. Now, her killing intent was revealed. Even if she really was Sienna's grandmother, Su Yu could not afford to be merciful. Arrogant rat, die. Hearing Su Yu's final words, Su Rong attacked furiously. Her palm energy was comparable to the power of a purple lotus. It was a deity-level cultivation technique. Its power was extraordinary and could destroy everything. But the next moment, Su Rong's heart skipped a beat. Su Yu's eyes, which had always been tightly shut, moved slightly, as if he was about to open. As a slit appeared, an aura that made her feel uneasy shot out. The sky, earth, forest, trees, and all living things trembled in the presence of this aura. It was as if a transcendent demonic power was sealed within those eyes. Once opened, it could destroy the world. Li Guang, who had rushed over to help, felt his heart beating wildly. Even he had been curious as to why Su Yu had never opened his eyes. Even when he had personally asked, Su Yu had only replied, "It is inconvenient to open them." He had thought that Su Yu might be hiding some sort of trump card. But now, the aura that made his heart beat uneasily was beyond his imagination. That aura was not a destructive force, but a mysterious force that even the Holy King could not comprehend. What was sealed within Su Yu's eyes? At this moment, his eyes, which had been tightly shut for a long time, finally opened for the first time. In that instant, a pair of magnificent eyes appeared. It was a pair of purple eyes, glowing with a gorgeous and mysterious light. This was the first time it had been revealed to the world. Other than some people who cultivated strange techniques that would have dark red eyes, there had never been purple eyes in the eyes of a human. It could be confirmed that those eyes were not human eyes, but the eyes of a divine spirit. Gorgeous, noble, mysterious. Just one look would cause one's heart to tremble. Time, light, seal. Su Yu growled in his heart, the 4 words resonating in his heart. A pair of mysterious and noble purple eyes glowed with a purple light. In an instant, the sky and earth, time and space, all seemed to freeze at this moment. The drifting white clouds came to an abrupt stop. The mountains and rivers suddenly stopped. The surging crowd froze. Even someone as powerful as the Holy King Su Rong, who was just inches away from Su Yu, could not move. What was hard to see with the naked eye was the purple shadow of a dragon coiling around Su Rong's body. It was this dragon shadow that had coiled around Su Rong's body, sealing her in the frozen time. She could not move at all. Her mind was working, her soul was shaken, and her panic was spreading. But it was as if her body was sealed by time, unable to move. In front of her, Su Yu's purple eyes were ice cold, his silver hair fluttering, like an inhuman divine spirit. "Old dog! I'll kill you first!" Su Yu coldly shouted. Creak! A purple lotus flower appeared in his palm. It was beautiful, but it contained destructive thunder and fire. The power of a divine-level technique was unparalleled in the world. "Purple Star Thunderbolt!" Su Yu growled, holding the purple lotus in his hand as he attacked Su Rong's body. Su Rong, who was sealed by time, had to withstand the powerful attack. Puff, her chest was burned by the fierce thunder and fire, her flesh a bloody mess. The violent explosion shattered her internal organs. She spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. She, who was a legend in the world, had been injured by a junior. Twice using the purple lotus, once using the seal of time. Su Yu's blood was pale, swaying as he fell from the sky. But the killing intent in his eyes did not diminish. The intent to destroy remained. Die! Su Yu clenched his teeth, raising a finger. Ice and thunder feast. The fusion of ice and thunder was a feast of the power of nature. The alternating purple and white light was like a divine light that could destroy the world. The icy heart core had reached the top class, and the purple star thunderbolt had broken through to stage 1 upper class. The power of the two was worlds apart from before. The fused ice and thunder feast had reached a whole new level. In terms of power, it was second only to the purple lotus, far above a divine-level technique. While there was still a sliver of the seal of time, he would completely destroy this old dog. 1 chapter at 8 in the morning, 1 at 8 at night, 2 chapters a day. Chapter 96. No! A shout could be heard. Whoosh, as fast as a ray of light, he flashed in front of the master of Fenghuang Valley. With a grab of his hand, the power of the Holy King rumbled and dispersed the ice and thunder feast. Li Guang's figure appeared. The seal of time only worked on certain people. Only the master of Fenghuang Valley was sealed, Li Guang was not. The momentary obstruction allowed the master of Fenghuang Valley to escape. At this moment, the barely visible purple dragon disappeared. The master of Fenghuang Valley was freed from the seal of time. Even though her body was frozen in time, her thoughts were still present. The pain in her chest caused her hair to stand on end. "I will kill you!" the master of Fenghuang Valley screamed. Her injuries were minor, but her reputation was more important. A holy king had been injured by a junior. It was Li Guang who had saved her from a second attack. Such humiliation would never be forgotten. Humph! Li Guang glared at her. Do you really think I am just a decoration? If you attack again, I will personally kill you. You have only yourself to blame for bullying a disciple of the sanctuary. You. Su Rong was furious, but extremely fearful. Su Yu stared at Su Rong coldly, feeling sorry for her. The seal of time had a time limit. Each activation required a period of rest. Otherwise, his eyes would not be able to withstand it and would explode. He had already missed the best opportunity to kill the master of Fenghuang Valley. Holy King, why did you stop me? Su Yu asked, confused. It was obvious that Li Guang was not biased towards the master of Fenghuang Valley, otherwise, he would not be protecting her. Li Guang looked at Zhang Xian with gratitude in his old eyes. Come with me. I will let you see another world. Li Guang did not reply, instead grabbing Su Yu's shoulder and bringing him thousands of meters into the air. Su Yu did not understand. Another world? Look down and see the entire ruins, Li Guang said. Hearing this, Su Yu looked down, and his pupils shrank to the size of a needle. This is a palm print. It was rumored that the ruins were once extremely prosperous, but were reduced to rubble in a single night. It was difficult to see the entire situation from within the ruins. However, looking down from the sky, Su Yu saw a shocking scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. A horrifying palm print with a radius of 10 miles shrouded the ruins. That's right, it's a palm print, destroying everything in a 10-mile radius with one palm. Li Guang was also shocked. A single palm strike destroyed everything within a 10-kilometer radius, turning everything into ruins. Su Yu was absent-minded, and he fell into unprecedented shock. Suddenly, he recalled the 2 paintings on the wall in the underground relic in the Twilight Mountains. In the first painting, an old man pointed a finger at the heavens. Su Yu had benefited from it and comprehended the holy decree. In the second painting, a giant hand descended from the 9 heavens, shattering mountains and rivers for thousands of miles. Su Yu would never forget that scene. The 10-kilometer palm print that could destroy everything before him clearly overlapped with that image. Is this the power of a holy king? Su Yu was lost in thought. Li Guang laughed at himself. Holy king? Hee, what is a saint king? Under the might of this palm, saint kings are nothing but ants. They can be reduced to ashes with a flick of a finger. Have you seen the other world? Li Guang asked sternly. Su Yu took a long time to restrain the shock in his heart, his eyes revealing a pensive expression. Holy King, do you mean that the Holy King realm is a legend of martial prowess, but not the pinnacle of the martial paths? Legend of martial strength. Li Guang's self-mockery deepened. Perhaps only mortals would call it that. In the other world, holy kings are the lowest existences. Where is that world? Su Yu was shocked. The legends of martial arts were the lowest existences in that world. Li Guang did not answer, but instead asked, How big do you think the Xinyue continent is? Su Yu pondered. The Xianyu prefecture was the size of China, the Fenglin Empire was the size of Earth, and the alliance of the 9 empires was the size of 9 planets. In addition to the Fenghuang Empire, whose territory surpassed the alliance of the 9 empires, the entire Xinyue continent was equivalent to 20 Earths. The vastness of the continent was shocking. Very big. So big that it would be hard for me to travel the entire continent in my lifetime. Su Yu revealed the respect in his heart. Li Guang said meaningfully, What if I told you that the Xinyue continent is actually just a small island? What? An island? Su Yu gasped. Li Guang slowly nodded. That's right. The Xinyue continent is just an island in the middle of the ocean. The real continent is in the middle of the ocean, called the Zhenlong continent. The Zhenlong continent is the center of the world, the true world of martial artists. The Shernue continent is just one of the countless islands in the middle of the ocean. Suyu was shocked beyond words. The vast Shernue continent was just a drop in the ocean. Su Rong and I are disciples of the Lucien faction of the continent. 100 years ago, we were sent to Shernue Island to help the faction search for young talents among the islanders. Su Rong established the Fenghuang Valley and the Fenghuang Empire, while I created the Sanctuary and controlled the alliance of the 9 empires. I split Shernue Island into 2, each selecting the talents of the islanders. The Battle of the Century is the final selection, and the 5 of you are qualified disciples. Li Guang sighed. Suyu was shocked. The Sanctuary and Fenghuang Valley were both Lucien factions of the Zhenlong continent, sent here to search for young talents. After saying this, Li Guang glanced at Su Rong, calmly saying, "So, do you understand why I stopped you? Firstly, you could not kill her. Your strongest attack could only lightly injure her. You were able to injure her because of your soul technique. Secondly, even if you could kill her, would you be able to face the pursuit of the strongest fighters of the Zhenlong continent? Among them, there are some strong fighters who could kill me with just a thought." Killing a holy king with just a thought? Suyu was shocked. Su Rong and Li Guang not only had extraordinary abilities, but more importantly, their identities were not ordinary. "Alright, now tell me, how did your abilities improve so quickly after the battle in the evil forest?" Li Guang could no longer hide his curiosity. Suyu nodded. Now that things had come to this, he had to give an explanation. Creak. The icy heart core in his chest throbbed, absorbing the cold energy of heaven and earth. His cultivation level began to stir. That day when I was trapped under the rubble, icy heart core was at the top class. According to the technique, after the top class, the ice heart would absorb the cold energy of heaven and earth, increasing one's cultivation level. Li Guang understood. When Suyu was in trouble, he was at level 7 upper tier, but now he was at level 8 peak. At that time, the Fenglin Empire was in the middle of winter. The evil forest was even colder and colder. Suyu had been absorbing the cold energy for a full 10 days. Coupled with the large amount of saint-grade spirit elixirs he had consumed previously, the effects of the elixirs were stimulated, allowing his cultivation level to soar. This was the reason for the rapid growth of his cultivation level, as well as his comprehension of the technique. So, how did you comprehend Icy Heart Core to top class? Before you were in trouble, you only managed to comprehend it to the upper class. You would need many years to reach top class. Deity-level techniques get harder to comprehend as you progress. It should be due to my level of comprehension, Suyu said, hiding the biggest change in his body. His biggest change was not his cultivation level, nor his technique, but the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. In a desperate situation, the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron underwent an unprecedented change. Countless drops of spiritual liquid flowed down, cleansing his body. It also made his soul more transparent, and his level of comprehension improve. At the same time, his control of time had made a breakthrough. In the past, when he was still, the time around him had been accelerated by 50 times. But after the change, time had been accelerated by 200 times. During the half a month he was trapped, using the 200 times acceleration was equivalent to 10 years. 10 years was enough time to thoroughly comprehend the Icy Heart Core. Moreover, the purple dragon on the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron had been completely crystallized after the baptism of a large amount of red spiritual liquid. Suyu's pupils underwent a strange change, turning purple. In the past, he could only control the flow of time around him. But now, his purple pupils could control the flow of time in the outside world. The Seal of Time came about because it could freeze the time of a specific target for a single breath. One breath was enough to kill an enemy in a head-on battle, but Suyu could not completely control this pair of purple pupils. To prevent it from leaking or harming the innocent, he could only close his eyes. Level of comprehension? Li Guang gasped. Your level of comprehension is unimaginable. Su Yu let out a bitter laugh. The one who was truly unimaginable was Xia Jingyu. Then, where did your spirit-level technique come from? Li Guang's gaze turned serious, asking the question he was most concerned about. As for the purple pupil's divine eyes, he thought it was some sort of secret soul technique that caused Su Rong to lose focus for a moment. What is a spirit-level technique? Su Yu was confused. It is Purple Star Thunderbolt. Li Guang said leisurely. Low, medium, high, saint, and deity-level techniques are collectively known as mortal-level techniques in the Zhenlong continent and can only be practiced by mortals. Spirit-level techniques are only practiced by holy kings and above. The palm that Su Rong used to destroy you is a spirit-level technique. Purple Star Thunderbolt was a spirit-level technique? Su Yu was shocked. But thinking about it carefully, some of his doubts were answered. Deity-level techniques such as Icy Heart Core and Reverie of Dewdrops only had 3 levels: lower class, upper class, and peak. But Purple Star Thunderbolt was only a remnant of a book. It did not only have 1 level. At the same time, Purple Star Thunderbolt had caused Su Yu to feel lost more than once. Icy Heart Core and Infernal Demon Pupils were 2 deity-level cultivation techniques that had reached great perfection, but Purple Star Thunderbolt was still stuck at stage 1 greater mastery. It had taken him half a year to comprehend, and with the effect of time control, it had taken him at least 10 years to comprehend, but he was still stuck at stage 1 greater mastery. His doubts were finally answered today. It was a spirit-level technique unique to the Zhenlong continent, something only holy kings could cultivate. It was no wonder Su Yu found it so difficult to cultivate. He had once thought it was a saint-level technique, but after realizing its power, he thought it was a deity-level technique. He did not expect it to be a spirit-level technique. If that was the case, then there should be a few remnant volumes. It's a remnant volume from the Martial Arts Training Institute of the Xianyu Prefecture, Su Yu said. Xianyu Prefecture? Li Guang pondered. In the Twilight Mountains of the Xianyu Prefecture, it was said that there was once a flourishing area. However, it was also destroyed in a single night, and it was difficult for future generations to find it. If I am not mistaken, this remnant of a spiritual-level cultivation technique should have been found by someone in the ruins. So the Purple Star Thunderbolt came from the underground ruins? All right, within a day, there will be an envoy from the Zhenlong continent who will bring us back to the Zhenlong continent. Su Rong and I have completed our mission. Li Guang descended with Su Yu. The black puppet announced, Su Yu wins. Opening its mouth, the black puppet spat out a token at Li Guang. The battle of the century has decreed that the victor will receive the Lucien token. Li Guang grabbed the token, his body trembling, his eyes filled with tears. Su Rong stared at the Lucien token, her face filled with jealousy and indignation. Suppressing the greed in her heart, Su Rong's expression was stiff as she cupped her fists. Congratulations, brotherly. After waiting for 100 years, you have finally gained something. You can use the Lucien token to request a wish from the faction. Li Guang closed his eyes, tightly gripping the Lucien token. Tears rolled down his cheeks, his voice trembling. Ruolin, wait for me. I will definitely get the faction to investigate what happened back then and give you an explanation. I, Li Guang, was wrongly accused. Zhao Guang was emotional, kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to Su Yu. His eyes were filled with tears. Junior Su, I, Zhao Guang, will never forget your kindness. Only Zhao Guang knew that his master had been wronged. In order to clear his name, he had sacrificed 100 years to obtain the Lucien token. It was Su Yu who had helped Li Guang fulfill his wish. Li Guang's eyes were filled with gratitude. He looked at the holy disciples that had followed him and smiled, gathering everyone to his side. Only Zhao Guang knows what happened to me. Today I will tell all of you the entire story. It turned out that Li Guang was once a new disciple of the Lucien faction. Rulan was his junior. She was beautiful and pure, with a heart of gold. She had fallen in love with Li Guang at first sight. The two of them were in love, cultivating together and advancing in the faction. But one day, something unfortunate happened. Little junior sister Ruolan was actually raped in one night. The location was Li Guang's house. The witness was Li Guang's rival in love, Senior Han Ji, who was extremely talented. In addition, he and his junior had been drinking under the moonlight that night. They were both drunk and unconscious. Li Guang was immediately suspected. Junior Rulan's chastity had been destroyed. She was so ashamed that she wanted to commit suicide. Li Guang had committed a crime and should have been executed. Only Li Guang knew that he had not touched Rulan that night. The person who had raped her was not Li Guang, but his rival in love, Han Ji.